clinched the playoffs in back-to-back seasons for the first time since 05 and 06.
No hype, no filter. Just the truth about your teams, your city, and the people who care about it most.
The reality is the expectations are higher now for this club than they were in 2019 and 2020 when the Padres hadn't made the playoffs that many times.
He's been here. He knows this city. And now he's leading the conversation every single day. Live and local on 97.3 The Fan.
This is fun. We're doing this for fun. This is fun. Have fun. Enjoy the fun with us having fun.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And happy Tuesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Talking about yesterday's game, probably to start today's show. A lot of things to break down from yesterday's game. A lot of things to break down from yesterday's game. A lot of frustrations about yesterday's game. I will say that. We're going to get to that in a second, but I kind of want to start the show with an interesting conversation. And I like to have a good conversation, Frank, of course. Did I tell you I dropped that?
I think all of San Diego knows at this point.
Did I tell you I dropped that on Tony during the pregame show?
No.
Over the weekend? When I had Tony was on the pregame, right? I started the pregame show off. I was like, when I got to Tony, I was like, hey, stop breaking Tony Gwynn Jr. Now, Tony, I love to have a good conversation. Love to have those conversations with you. He just starts cackling in the background. You could hear him. It was great. It was a great time. I like to have good, interesting conversations. I have one for you to start off the show. And we were talking about this a little bit off air before the show started because I was thinking about this as you watched last night's game. Yesterday's game, as soon as it ended, Frank, you know what I said? Just as my live emotional reaction to the game from yesterday, and you're going to get some of those games. You know what I said? What a complete waste of my time, that what I just watched. It just was like, from the get-go, a waste of time. The Padres got one hit against Dustin May. Dustin May, which, by the way, right but too early, I talked about Dustin May in spring training. I said, you know what? A one-year deal with St. Louis. He could have a bounce-back season. I still think. And now, St. Louis is playing a lot better than I thought they would. And I still don't think they're going to be around. But you know what? At this point, we're in June. Maybe they will be around. Maybe they will add to this young team. But I thought the Cardinals acquired Dustin May to trade him at the deadline. And people were like, they're not going to trade. He's not going to be good enough to be traded. Guy looked electric last night. It was his night last night. I don't know what we were doing in terms of challenging pitches with ABS. There was a couple of head scratchers where you're late in the game. Look, if you don't want to do it early in the game, fine. You want to save some of those? You get the 7th and 8th inning. You're still getting, 7th inning, they still had a perfect game going. Luckily, Fernando ended up working a walk. He had ball 4 earlier in that at-bat that he didn't challenge. Will Wagner later on, I think it was in the 8th inning, didn't challenge a pitch that wasn't even close. I didn't understand that. But it just looked, Dustin May had it last night. The Padres offense did not. I thought it was kind of a waste of time at the end of the day. Just based on the reaction of the game. The game wasn't fun to watch when your team's, going against somebody that has a perfect game going. It's frustrating. But I do agree with Woods in a sense that you got to flush it and move on to the next day. They don't get any extra bonus points for almost throwing a perfect game. And you got to be focused on trying to grind out 2 wins here in St. Louis. But here's the thing. This is where I get to this. Because every time the Padres lose, you're going to see this on social media. And I feel like we've been doing this every year for the last 3 or 4 years. And it's at any point in time, there's a bad stretch. And you know what? The Padres the inconsistency is going to be a major problem for them. But anytime they have a bad stretch, the narrative is, this team better not buy at the deadline. This team needs to sell at the deadline. We got to be able to recoup. We got to be able to rebuild. You can't do that. And I'm going to tell you why you can't do that. Because you made the decision you couldn't do that 3 or 4 years ago when you decided to sign these big contracts. And this is what I mean. When you decided to sign, and honestly, I don't think it was the decision to sign Manny Machado as a free agent. I think when you decided that you were going to give him an extension because he was threatening to opt out, when you decided to sign Xander Bogaerts, when you decided to give Fernando Tatis Jr. a quote statue contract, whichever one of those came first off the top of my head, I think it was Fernando or Xander, one of those two, right? When you decided to do that, you were committed to, we are in win now mode until our two oldest players of this group become too old. You are committed to doing that now. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing. I'm saying you are committed to that. There's no eject seat on this. There's no off-ramp where you can just change this. This is the team you decided to be. And with that comes the responsibility of, we have to keep this plan going because we can't just change plans. If you're constantly changing your plan and changing the identity of what your team is, you're going to go nowhere. You're just going to be a rudderless ship, just like going in circles. So unless your team is catastrophically bad and you are not in contention, you have committed to being buyers at the trade deadline. That doesn't mean you can kind of buy and sell, but you are in, we got to win now mode. That doesn't change if your star player that you invested in has a bad year. How I view this, and I'm going to make the comparison here in a second, but how I view this is, since Manny and Xander are I think, basically the same age, if I'm not mistaken, just off the top of my head, they're the same age. When you decided to sign them around age 30, it wasn't, we're only going to do this for 3 years. You gave them the 10-year deal, not for 3 years. You gave them for like 5 or 6, and you got to grind through those 5 or 6 years. So when you look at these guys' ages, to me, I think you got to give them until they're 36 years old before you just pull the plug on all these stars. And you definitely can't do it after a couple of months. And you can say, well, everything you want about how they're aging players and all this and all that. You signed up for this. This is what everybody got excited about when they signed these contracts. There's no pull the plug, let's fix everything. That doesn't happen. They made this deal. They made this decision to make these plans. This is their plan. Now, I will say this, because this is where I think things get lost. Okay? There is no perfect plan to winning a World Series aside from maybe let's just outspend everybody. But even then, it's still kind of a crapshoot. Like, LA has done that in the last 2 years, right? But you also have the Mets. I mean, they've spent a ton of money too. They have nothing to show for it. The Dodgers can spend and do some other things. I think they're an anomaly anyway. There isn't any just one size fits all. This is the plan. This is what you do. That's it. I mean, everybody thought Atlanta's plan was the best plan ever. And then the last couple of years, it hasn't really worked out, although they seem to be back on track. So I'm going to ask people this question. You could tell me what you would rather have your team do, but I think we might be on the same page here. All things being considered, and I'm going to let Frank participate in this exercise. Unfortunately for Frank, he already did off air, but he's going to do it again because you guys can't respond to me in real time. Maybe you can on YouTube. Here's the deal. I am giving you 2 options for your team. Okay? 2 options for the team that you want. Both option A and option B will not win a World Series. All things considered. You follow me so far?
Yes.
Because otherwise you would just be like, whatever wins the World Series, I don't really care. Okay? So both entities will not win a World Series. Here are your options. You have a team with stars on it that make a lot of money, that are on the team for a long time, okay? And you have a core set of players that you have. And you signed them when they were young, but you have them for a long period of time. That's Team A.
Mm-hmm.
Team B is the team where you have a brand new team every 2 to 3 years. You have young talent. They're like some of the best talent in Major League Baseball every time they come up. But after 2 or 3 years of being on your team, you can't re-sign them. They have to go away.
So basically,
you will make the same amount of playoff appearances either option.
So basically, do you
what
want
team do you want?
So basically, do you want the Padres now, or do you want the Padres from like 10 years ago? Is basically what you're asking me. And I'd rather have the Padres now.
I'm asking you, would you rather have the Padres?
I'd rather have the team with stars.
Would you rather have the Padres, or would you rather be the Rays?
I'd rather have the team with stars on it.
I'd rather have the team with stars on it too. I'd take option one. Again, the argument for this can't be, well, like, if we do this, we're going to win the World Series. Stop it. Stop it. That's not what you can do, okay? There's not like a one plan that fits all that automatically gets you to the World Series. How has that worked out for Milwaukee? Right? Milwaukee's a team that has some stars. They have young players, but you know what they can't do every year? They don't add to it. How many World Series have the Brewers been to? None. What about Baltimore? Baltimore went all in for the young guys. What are they doing right now? Seriously. There's not one size that fits all that guarantees you a World Series. So you got to break it down on those kind of options of what team you would rather have. To me, I would rather have the team where I know all the players and I have stars and it's a relevant team. I would rather have that team. I'd love to know if you would disagree. You could go ahead and ask questions about it. Give us a call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. But that's the reality. And you chose option A. Not saying you individually, they didn't like, the Padres didn't like, ask you personally, hey, go ask Tex on Twitch, what team would you rather us be? They obviously can't do that. But they made that decision, and the Padres fan base rallied behind it because we were all excited about these contracts, were we not? I think the only one that people were a little hesitant about was Xander. I will give people credit for that, okay? When that sign went down a couple of years ago, I think a lot of people were like, well, if it gets you a World Series, I think it was like, that was the only one that I can say collectively, this fan base wasn't 100% all behind. I didn't mind it. I like the team that's trying to spend money and trying to win. I really do. But here's the deal. If you're going to be that team, which is fine, you have to let the plan play out. Because as soon as you start pulling the plug on plans and restarting, you're going to turn into a perennial loser. And right now, I know they haven't won a World Series yet, but the Padres making the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years is relatively a perennial winner. Now, are they winning championships? No. Do they have a division title to say for it? No. But what you wanted is an opportunity in the playoffs every single year, and that's what you have. And in order to do that, to keep this thing going, you have to invest in your major league club. And right now, here's the other dilemma that the Padres are in, okay? And this is why selling doesn't make any sense. Unless you get major league talent back, here's why it doesn't make sense. Frank, I'm going to use you again. What's let's ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, whatever you do at the trade deadline to maybe improve this team, I am against trading Ethan Salas for anybody.
Agreed.
There is not one player on the face of the earth that I am like okay with trading Ethan Salas for. Not with the hype that he's got, not with what you invested in him, not with he's still a couple. There is not one player on this planet that I think is worth trading Ethan Salas for. I want to make that perfectly clear before people that are prospect huggers jump in and be like, you're just going to give him for that. No, there's not one dude in Major League Baseball that I'm like, yeah, give up Ethan Salas for him. The only person might be Ohtani, but that's never going to happen. So absolutely not. Aside from him, where, Frank, are all of the top prospects for the Padres? What level are they at?
The current top prospects are all in high A.
High A, low A. What are those guys going to help you? What are those guys going to help you?
3 or 4 years if you're lucky.
3 or 4 years down the road, maybe? I think these are the last 2 to 3 years where you can be all in with Manny and Xander. I really do. And so you have to capitalize on that while you have a chance. Because here's the reality of the situation. If you have any chance of potentially making the playoffs with Machado and Bogarts on your team, regardless of how well they are playing, you have to go for it. That's what you signed up for when you gave out these massive contracts, because it's not going to get better down the road. And there's no guarantee that next year will be better than this year. I've been saying that for the last 3 or 4 years. That is where you're at, Padres fans. So when you see these rumors going around about AJ Preller's looking for this, AJ Preller's looking for that, ownership might be willing to add, new ownership might be willing to add payroll. Okay? There's a reason for that, because the only reason to justify these contracts are for trying to win when these guys are probably near or at their best during these years. They're going to have some bad years mixed in there. Absolutely. But it's not going to get better down the road, and you're not getting rid of these guys. So you're going to have to continue to double down on stuff. And you know what? I think you can trust. Now, not all of them work out, right? I mean, Stephen Kolek's with the Royals. Okay, cool. CJ Abrams, okay. You've gotten, everybody was stoked about Jackson Merrill. People want to, jettison him now. He's 23 years old. I mean, he's got to figure it out. Okay? They still have been able to keep some prospects that are good, and they've shipped off a lot, and they've shipped off a lot of players that haven't really amounted to anything either. There's got to be good players that turn out to be really good. That's fine. You're going to have to be okay with that. But like this trade deadline, if the Padres are still right there in the wild card, if you want to just punt on the season and just like give up to just try to hopefully maybe get some guy back. I mean, that's the other thing too that we haven't talked about yet, because I don't even like entertaining that idea. Because if you decide to do that, what happens if those new guys don't work out? Now what do you got? Now you got nothing. You don't have anything anymore. Then you got to go try to fix it in free agency. Now you're punting on 3 or 4, 5 years. I mean, a bad trade for a star, right, can set you back. A bad trade for a high prospect that doesn't amount to anything can also set you back 5 to 10 years. You have to strike while the iron is hot. And the Padres, albeit from last night, didn't look very good, are right there in the thick of things. And if they are at the trade deadline, they have to go for it. If they are where the Giants are at right now at the trade deadline, I will understand if the Padres decide to just do nothing or try to trade a couple of pieces away that they know they're not going to re-sign. But right now, they're in the thick of this thing. And again, if they win the next 2 games, they take 2 out of 3. They picked up another game in the standings, getting closer to getting back on track. But it can't be these emotional, like, game just ended, Padres lost, it's time to trade everybody away. I mean, if you want to put it out there just to feel better about yourself, fine. But honestly, That's how I view this trade deadline. Again, you made that decision already. What's not going to make it better is punting on your plan. That never works out. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. It took up a lot of time in the first segment. We got a lot to talk about today on the Braden Surprenant Show. We'll talk about last night's game, Lucas Giolito. We'll talk about how great Dustin May was. We'll talk about what the offense was. Lots to get to. Also want to get to your phone calls. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97 to the Fan. The NHL season is officially over, which means this is our last NHL video for a decent amount of time. Stanley Cup has a new home, and now the league immediately transitions into one of the most interesting parts of the calendar, the chase for next year's championship. The big question coming out of the final, did the Carolina Hurricanes finally figure out the formula to win the Stanley Cup, or was this simply their window finally opening at a perfect time? Carolina Hurricanes spent years being the team everyone respected, but nobody feared in June. They were always close. 3 conference final appearances in 8 years, multiple regular season teams that looked built for playoff success, a defensive identity that gave opponents nightmares, but they always had the same problem. Could they score enough when the games got tight? And this year, Frank, they answered that question.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Carolina beat the Las Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games to win their first Stanley Cup since 2006, and what was interesting is that they didn't win it by changing who they were. They won because they doubled down on who they were. Carolina became a nightmare defensively, held Vegas to 5 goals in games 4 and 5 combined, and then shut them out in a 3-0 win in the deciding game 6 in Vegas, turned a high-scoring series early into a defensive grind late, and that is what championship teams do during the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, Vegas jumped out to a 4-0 lead and then looked like they were about to take control of the series. Instead, Carolina rallied, forced overtime, and even though they lost that game, they changed the entire feeling of the series.
It's game 3.
It was the moment Vegas realized this team is not going away, which led to the story of the culture of this team.
Yeah, the biggest reason this championship matters is the Hurricanes didn't just build a roster. They built a culture. Head coach Rod Brindamore finally gets his second Stanley Cup with Carolina, once as captain in 2006, and now as the coach. And that's a rarity in hockey. His message has always been work, compete, defend, and trust the system. And eventually the players bought in. The perfect example, 37-year-old veteran Jordan Staal, who spent his entire career doing the dirty work, winning faceoffs, killing penalties, blocking shots, standing in front of the net. He wins the Conn Smythe Trophy because the playoffs are not always about the most talented player. Sometimes it's about the player that is willing to do the hardest things to get your team to win.
Now, as for the Vegas Golden Knights, a very amazing run, but a tough ending. You got to give credit to Vegas. I mean, this team had no
100%.
business making the final after the season that they had. They changed coaches late in the year. They went from chasing a playoff spot to winning the Western Conference. They swept the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche, but the final exposed one thing. When the game slowed down, Vegas couldn't create enough offense. Game 6 was the perfect example. Vegas went almost 19 minutes without a shot on goal during the second and third periods. You could not win a championship when your offense disappears. Golden Knights proved they are still a powerhouse, but this was a missed opportunity and one that really highlighted what was a great playoff run for a team that had a very mediocre regular season.
Yeah, you say that about a lot of the teams out of the Western Conference, especially in the Pacific Division, having mediocre seasons, but to have a Pacific Division represent the Western Conference in the finals, certainly not a bad thing. And looking ahead to next year is now the offseason starts immediately. Early favorites, Carolina to repeat, Colorado, Vegas, Edmonton, Florida, Tampa Bay are all in the mix. But the bigger conversation right now is, are we entering a new NHL era where defense and depth beats superstar powerhouses? Because if you look at the last few champions, goaltending, all 4 lines contributing, defense and physicality have won the cup. And that's exactly what Carolina did and that's exactly what Carolina had this time around.
So now you start thinking about who's going to win the 2027 Stanley Cup and who is the favorite. I never like getting into those conversations because you got to go through the offseason. Who knows what kind of trades play out? Who knows who stays healthy? That's more for a national sports talk radio conversation. I mean, that was the same thing with the NBA when I was filling in for pre and post over the weekend. Sometimes the national radio is like, oh, let's pick the favorites for next year's NBA championship. Why?
Yeah,
They just
no
won.
point
Come
in it,
on,
man.
what's the point? But anyway, Carolina, great season, and they hoist the Stanley Cup trophy. $10:27. I will say this. A certain someone, Frank,
Yes.
cannot get mad at us for letting the rejoiner music play.
Because that certain someone
If
was
that
in
certain
here.
someone was having
That's the reason why.
having a conversation about the potential
we
trades
were
and
almost
stuff.
we were almost done on that. We had 11 seconds left when I started.
Oh my,
pulling
yeah,
it
and then
down.
you know what? When I put a lot of rejoiner music in, like I was like, I don't need more than a minute.
Yeah, it was 1:20 too.
Why am I recording all of these? Like, why am I grabbing the full version of these songs?
Why do you record it?
No, why am I bringing in why am I getting the whole version of this song?
What you do is you put it.
I misspoke with record, Frank.
No,
I
I'm just
don't
saying
actually
you do a
that.
YouTube to MP3 importer. So this way it just imports it. You have the full song on an MP3 file.
That's what I do.
Oh.
I misspoke when I said record. I don't actually do that.
Okay.
I don't. I do what you do.
Okay.
And then you upload it. Also, we have a lot of this music because we're a radio station.
Mhm.
Radio stations have music, which is great. But anyway.
Well, 4 of them do, at least.
Hey, man.
We have some.
I was going to make a reference, but they probably would have got mad at me. So I'm not going to do that. Some interesting off-air discussions that I think we can get to later. I do want to get your phone calls, though. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I do think this is more productive of our time than yesterday's game. I mean, about yesterday's game, Dustin May had arguably one of his best outings he's ever had. The Padres did not have any type of good outing. And the only thing that I was like upset about in terms of the game as the game transpired, because it could have been a one-run game, was I thought Lucas Giolito missed that ball on the comebacker that ended up getting knocked down. But it was confirmed in the post-game press conference by Randy Knorr, who was the acting manager because Craig Stammen was serving a suspension, that the ball went through Lucas Giolito's glove. What, he got a hole in your glove? Apparently he did. It went right through it. The Jake Cronenworth situation happened last night. It led to 2 runs for the Cardinals. But at the same time, and we're going to talk about Lucas Giolito's outing in a little bit. I mean, at the same time, Frank, it's kind of hard. Even if it didn't go through his glove and those 2 runs didn't score, you still lose.
Mm-hmm.
You scored nothing. You had one hit. And the only guy that hasn't hit all year is the only guy that got a knock yesterday. And Manny Machado.
We in the business of proper English call that an hit.
And hit. It was an actual and hit. But here's the deal. Like, last night's game, I was frustrated. I don't yell at the TV a lot. I was watching the game. I yelled at the TV twice. Both were like, why aren't we challenging these awful calls by the umpire and the ABS? But at the same time, it wouldn't have mattered. The one that I got upset about was Fernando's. He ended up walking that at bat anyway. It was more upsetting on the fact that it was ball 4, Frank, and it would have ended the perfect game. And I said, if he gets out right here, I'm going to throw something. He ended up walking. I was like, thank the Lord he was able to make it to first base, so we didn't get perfect gamed. And then, Will Wagner had one. I can't remember what inning it was, but it wasn't even close. I don't even think it would have made an impact in the at-bat, though. But a couple of things didn't go the Padres' way. The Cardinals didn't, bludgeon you. And the games against the Cardinals have been close. You got to be able to grind through some of these, and we'll see what happens tonight. You got your best pitcher on the mound. But if they could take 2 out of 3 in St. Louis, it's a lot better. If they don't, it's just going to be back to where they started when they started this road trip. The most frustrating thing about this team right now is the fact that it's like you see the offense and you see him come out of it, and then it goes way back down to, what is this? It's so up and down with these guys. Every time, I don't know how many times I've heard Tony Gwynn Jr. be like, this is what we've needed to see. Like, this looks like the coming out of the offense to they're really getting, and then it's like, bang, almost get perfect game last night. I am in the side of, you can't blame everything on the staff. Players have to take some accountability, but as these games like yesterday, it becomes hard to defend what you're watching a lot of the times. And you're just like, what is this? Last night's game was like that, but I agree with Woods this morning. It was like, Woods wasn't as upset about the game last night. Because unfortunately, Frank, we're going to see 3 or 4 more games like this where it's just a frustrating loss and you want to break everything in your house.
Yep.
How many of those we saw last year? Was it last? Might have been 2 years ago. I remember a Brewers game where Michael King had a no-no going in Milwaukee, through the 6th, and they lost that game in the 9th inning. I walked off. That was the sweep Milwaukee. I wanted to take a golf club to my television. You're going to get some of those games. And so I get the whole, you got to flush it. They got to be ready to go tonight against St. Louis. I thought last night, just to kind of wrap it up though, Frank, what was your overall takeaway of last night's game? To me, Dustin May had it. Padres offense did not. Ball didn't go your way as it goes through Lucas Giolito's glove, and you end up losing a 3-0 ball game that probably was a 1-0 ball game.
And Dustin May had 9 strikeouts last night, and most of them came after the 6th inning.
Right.
It was almost like the Padre offense just said, okay, we lost. It's over. Let's just get this game over as quickly as possible. It's frustrating because you saw in Baltimore, again, like you saw in Seattle, the potential of this team. You saw the potential of this lineup, and then it just all comes crushing back down. It is like 1 step forward, 4 steps back with last night. And again, two of the guys that you really wanted to see get on base actually did get on base. Problem was those were the only 2 that got on base last night.
Correct. And they had that one. But right there, they had the tying run coming to the plate.
Yep.
You know what? They put themselves in a position right there. So yeah, I get where I was more upset yesterday than I was this morning. When Woods kind of talked us off the ledge, being like, that one doesn't bother me. You're just going to have to flush it. It's 100% true. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We got some more of the trade conversations when we come back. We'll get to your phone calls as well. Kevin, please wait on hold. We'll get to you when we get back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. The biggest story of the opening week of the World Cup might just be the US of A. Mauricio Pochettino's squad crushed Paraguay 4-1, delivered what many are calling the greatest performance in men's national team history. Christian Pulisic was sensational. Florin Balogun scored twice, and the Americans played with an attacking style fans have rarely seen before. Australia also won its opener, setting up a massive showdown between the two unbeaten teams in Seattle, with first place in Group D on the line. Meanwhile, Brazil escaped with a 1-1 draw against Morocco, and Qatar earned the first World Cup point in its history with a stunning late equalizer against Switzerland. After just one round of matches, the drama is already building, and the World Cup is delivering exactly what fans hoped for. The opening week of the 2026 FIFA World Cup delivered exactly what fans have hoped for: statement victories, surprise results, and plenty of drama. US of A kicked off its tournament in spectacular fashion. Australia announced itself as a contender in Group D and one of the more tournament favorites. Brazil was fortunate enough just to escape with a point. As we head in the second round of group stage matches, several teams have already put themselves in position to advance, while others are suddenly facing pressure. That includes Monday, where you had Cape Verde be able to put together a scoreless draw against Spain. They punched Spain in the mouth a little bit by parking the bus. You saw some fun action throughout the day on Monday, and this is only going to get better as the tournament goes on.
No, it absolutely is. It's been an incredible tournament and fun tournament to watch here so far. And as we're recording this, Belgium and Egypt complete a 1-1 draw. So there's another result there with still 2 games to play here on this Monday. But the big one was obviously here, the United States. Could that have been the best performance in men's national team history? That's the question being debated after Mauricio Pochettino's squad dismantled Paraguay 4-1 in Los Angeles. The Americans dominated virtually every category. They controlled possession, completed nearly 600 passes, created chance after chance, and scored 4 goals, the most the United States has ever scored in a single World Cup match. Christian Pulisic was sensational. Florin Balogun delivered the kind of striker performance the U.S. fans have been dying for years to see. Malik Tillman emerged as a major weapon, while the high press and attacking style implemented by Pochettino overwhelmed one of South America's best defensive teams in Paraguay.
Yeah, Australia's a good team too, and so if USA can go out there and put up a couple of goals on Australia, then maybe this is the real deal. I mean, as for Team USA, is it the best USA men's national team that they have put together? I mean, early results say they trend in that direction, but you can't have a recency bias, Frank.
No, you absolutely cannot. And again, they looked very shaky. Again, it was not under Pochettino in the World Cup in 22. This is Pochettino's first World Cup with this team, less than a year, I believe, into his leadership with the U.S. team. But Group D, as you had mentioned with Australia, the U.S. are going to have a challenge. Australia opened up with impressive 2-0 over Turkey. 20-year-old Iran Kunda scoring the opening goal and became the youngest Australian player to ever score in the World Cup. Keeper Patrick Beach turned in one of the best performances of the opening weekend with 8 saves, frustrating Turkey's big strikers. Connor Metcalf later added an insurance goal to give the Socceroos 3 points and set up one of the biggest matches in the group stage. And again, Friday coming up, it'll be the U.S. versus Australia to see who takes over the number 1 spot in Group D.
We've seen a lot of the better teams in countries in this tournament escape disaster or end up not getting a point in the standing, or 3 points, right? So Brazil's one of them. They're one of the biggest surprises of opening weekend when they held a 1-1 draw by Morocco. I look at Brazil and I look at Spain the same way. Kind of some early scares for 2 of the more favorable teams in the World Cup.
Yeah, and Morocco's no slouch either. They were just in the semifinal for the World Cup in 2022. So, and they are ranked top 10 in the world. So Brazil, it's not like Brazil did this against Cape Verde. Granted, it's a team that they're supposed to beat, but Morocco has climbed up the world soccer ladder for sure. As manager Carlo Ancelotti admitted after the match that anxiety and pressure affected his squad, but it was the calm and composure of Vinicius Jr. that rescued the five-time World Cup champions with a brilliant equalizer in the 32nd minute. And after that, play out the draw, escape with a point.
One of the biggest surprises opening weekend belonged to Qatar too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they after losing all three matches during its World Cup in 2022, earned the first World Cup point in its history, the dramatic 1-1 draw against Switzerland. Another big surpriser. We've had a lot of big surprises happen in the World Cup so far.
Yeah, for sure. And that was an own goal too, that they did just another way, like you say in hockey, just get the puck to the net. Good things can happen. Get the ball out in front of the net.
Had a fun time yesterday talking NASCAR with Kyle Larson, two-time NASCAR champion Kyle Larson. He will be racing this weekend in the NASCAR street race here in San Diego in Coronado at Naval Base Coronado. It's going to be a fun time. I can't wait to go out there this weekend. Frank has just been like pacing ever since the credential dropped in his inbox. Excited to go down to Coronado and watch racing in the place where you laid. You don't have to travel very far for this one this time. So with our NASCAR coverage, we are going to continue with our next guest. He is a great analyst for Amazon, but also he was a crew chief for Jeff Gordon, crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. As well. Total wins as a crew chief, 15 NASCAR Cup Series victories, including the prestigious 2014 Daytona 500. Came back a little bit in a brief return, but he has joined NBC Sports as an analyst in 2015. Currently serves as a color commentator for NASCAR on NBC, TNT, and Amazon Prime Video. His name is Steve Letarte. He joins me on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Steve, what's going on? Excited to have you guys out here for NASCAR this weekend.
Man, we are excited to head west to see something that's never been done before. We're ready to race out there on that naval base. The track looks amazing. And to be honest, just the whole event, man, the energy is high. The promotion's been there, but we're ready to just hit the ground and get going.
We're talking with Kyle Larson yesterday on the show. I mean, he's a California guy that's excited to get back into the state of California. NASCAR, I was told, wanted to get back to California, but with Fontana not being on the circuit anymore, how great is it to be back here on the West Coast and to be able to be in California, in Southern California, I should say, for a race here for NASCAR?
Yeah, we get a couple weeks of West Coast racing with San Diego and Sonoma back to back. But we love Southern California. The fan base always supported the sport. When we were out at Fontana, we kind of felt the love from the fans. They came out, they cheered us on, and we see that at times that racetracks kind of go away. The economics drive some of these property values, where then all of a sudden a racetrack doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's where these temporary tracks, I think, have really flourished. We raced on the streets of Chicago. We've raced out there in the Coliseum, both at temporary circuits and now being on Naval Base Coronado on a temporarily created street circuit with a little runway involved. Just gives us a lot of opportunity. And it's going to be a great mix of racing action, because we're going to get the full fan experience on Saturday and Sunday. Then on Friday for the Truck Series, it'll be a military appreciation day. So everybody in attendance will be part of the military. So you kind of put all that together with this being the 250th birthday. There's just so many great things. We're excited to get out there and get going.
We're talking with Steve Letarte, former crew chief and now current Amazon Prime and TNT, NBC color analyst for NASCAR, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. Steve, let's talk about how you got into racing. Obviously, we talked to Kyle Larson. A lot of guys race in different courses and dirt track and everything like that as kids. To make it to this NASCAR level for you, you joined Hendrick Motorsports at age 15. What got you into racing? How did you get to where you are today? I mean, what a fun, interesting career path that not a lot of people have been able to do in their life.
Yeah, listen, I owe everything to my father, right? If your dad's a golfer, you tend to golf. If your dad's a banker, you probably love the banking system, right? Everybody follows in their father's footprints and footsteps. And my dad, even when I was a kid growing up in Maine, he had a business where he built race cars, and we were at Saturday night short tracks. I don't have memories before racetracks. I've been at racetracks since I could basically walk and talk, and it's been in my blood. So when we moved to North Carolina and he jumped into the NASCAR ranks, it was a great opportunity for me to literally go in and be the floor sweeper for Jeff Gordon and Ray Evernham. And I never left. 9 years after joining there part-time, I became Jeff Gordon's crew chief, and then I crew chief for Dale Jr. And basically 20 years inside the garage on the competitive side. I made the transition to broadcasting a little over a decade ago, and I just love the opportunity it presents. I get to cover, talk about, and celebrate races that I would be watching on TV if I wasn't in the booth talking to the NASCAR fans. It's been an unbelievable run. Never could have predicted it. I have 2 college-age children, and I try to explain to them that the world is a big place, and you have no idea what you may end up doing. I definitely didn't have broadcasting on my bucket list or my bingo card 30 years ago, but I'm so thankful these opportunities came my way, and man, I've had just a blast doing it.
Let's talk about some of those, inner workings of getting to that spot. I mean, you talked about sweeping floors and then, became a mechanic and then onto a crew chief. I mean, you're somebody that's had to do a lot of different things in this NASCAR business. But when you finally got to be a crew chief after being a car chief and that first time you were doing it, and I asked Kyle Larson this yesterday about the first time he got to race a stock car. From where you came from and who you got to crew chief for, I mean, that had to be that first time you did it. That had to be a fun experience.
Fun and fast. I will tell you, when you get that big of a break in your career, we went to New Hampshire, and it was in the fall of 2005. It was my first time, with my name next to that crew chief title for Jeff Gordon. And they threw the green flag. I blinked. They threw the checkered flag, and we ran 14th. And I couldn't tell you how we ended up 14th, not 5th, not 20th. Like, the race itself was in fast forward. You hear that a lot about athletes that, get an opportunity in the pros, how fast the game moves. And some of it, I think, is the actual speed of the game, but some of it is just the excitement of the opportunity. And so luckily for me, as time went by, the races slowed down, my decision-making improved, and I had a great tenure on top of the pit box for both Jeff and Dale Jr. And it was a great run. And as it came to a close, the opportunity to move into the broadcast was just a great transition.
Talking with Steve Letarte, former crew chief, current broadcaster for Amazon, getting ready to call a couple of fun races this weekend here in Coronado. We're a baseball station. We're a baseball town. I mean, we do have a lot of great race fans out there in East County and through the Inland Empire here in Southern California. But for a lot of our fans that, don't really dive into NASCAR as much, I mean, the crew chief job to me seems fascinating. I mean, what are some of the things you were telling your driver? I know you guys need a spotter out there as well. I mean, I'm very basic on the NASCAR knowledge, but there's a lot of strategy that goes involved. There's a lot of decisions that got to make. I mean, there's a lot going on instead of just guys driving around in circles. What can you tell, maybe the casual fan about, some of the conversations you've had with Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt, or, what it takes to be a crew chief and what you're looking for when you crew up there?
Yeah, I mean, first, I think the size shocks people. So, when I was a crew chief, I would have 100 employees basically to run a race team. And you are both the general manager and the head coach kind of all in one. And everybody who holds that position, there isn't a blueprinted answer on how to manage a race team. Some people are car guys. So they spend a lot of time in the cars, and they maybe, hire people to handle other things. Some guys are engineers. So they handle most of the engineering, or they oversee the engineers, and somebody else handles the pit crews. For me, it sounds crazy, but I'm really a people person. That was always my skill set. So I had to have really talented engineers to help me with the car setups. I really enjoyed the strategy. You decide when you're going to take fuel, when you're going to take tires, when you're going to come to pit road. It's very strategic at times. I always love that part of it. And then just the psychology of it. Race car drivers are expected to go out and perform, but they're basically completely on their own, isolated, locked in that race car for 4 hours at a time. And the only communication is by radio. They talk a lot to their spotter, who's helping them guide them through traffic. And they talk a lot to their crew chief, who's kind of helping lay out the plan ahead. But you also have to manage the emotion. That driver in some of these races won't get a break. We're on caution free for an hour. So for over an hour, they are running, nearly 200 miles an hour, lap after lap with unquestionable focus. And it could be a very isolating position. So you have to make sure you support that driver and let him know why he may feel out there by himself. He has a whole team behind him.
Let's talk about this race coming up this weekend, or the 3 races we got coming up this weekend. Obviously, a road course, a little bit different than what these guys are used to. There are some guys that are really good at road courses. There's some guys that are not. As somebody that is a former crew chief, how would you go about attacking this particular road course, especially one that nobody has raced before, aside from maybe simulators and iRacing?
Yeah, so the unknown is really the big question mark. We will run 4 road course races this year. We've already run 2. We'll now run Coronado this weekend and Sonoma next weekend. And it's 3.4 miles, so it's very long from a NASCAR track standard, 16 corners. Temporary surfaces are really the challenge. So when you go to a racetrack, the asphalt or the concrete, year after year, you get a good idea of just how much grip you have. And that's really the name of the game, is grip when it comes to the surface. And when you go to a temporary circuit, look, it's public streets. It's a runway. How will the tires interact with that? And it will change dramatically from the beginning of the weekend to the end. It's a lot like, if you can imagine this, what you see as bare asphalt to a race car driver is very dirty and dusty and grimy. And it will take them hours of cars on track to that dust to be blown off, and the tire rubber will stick to it and actually becomes more tacky and more adhesive and gain more grip as the weekend goes. And I think that's the big change for these guys, is not only do you have to learn the circuit, I've been running hours on my iRacing rig just for me to call it, with 16 corners, what direction, what corner's next, which one's tighter than you think, which one's more open than you think. And then the surface itself changes, not to mention the distractions we're going to have being on that naval base. I mean, there's a carrier in the yard, there are helicopters, there are airplanes. I mean, there's so much eye candy around that naval base. It's going to be interesting to see what team and what driver can stay focused at the task at hand for 3 days.
Talking with Steve Letarte, color analyst for Amazon Prime. He will be broadcasting the races this weekend here in San Diego. Let's talk about the drivers themselves. I mean, obviously, Denny Hamlin's on a tear right now on a lot of courses. I mean, I don't necessarily know the road course might be his best suit or not, but he's been racing really well. The car's been really fast. Got a lot of other guys that are competing here. Who are some of the names that maybe some casual San Diegans that are going to cruise out there should pay attention to this weekend?
Well, there's one name that's going to jump off the list, and I will tell you, unless you're a pretty hardcore fan or you're a global motorsport fan, you're not going to recognize the name. But SVG is his initials. It's Shane Van Gisbergen. He's a Kiwi. He's from down under. He joined the NASCAR ranks a few years ago. He showed up on the scene at the Chicago Street Course by winning his first ever start. He is famous in V8 supercars, which run in New Zealand and Australia. He is a multi-time champion down there. He has really adapted well to the stock car in the NASCAR series. He has won he's the guy to beat. He's won, I think, 7 of the last 9 road courses in the NASCAR series. When every time we go to somewhere new, especially as a road course, he's the guy to chase. He was that way in Mexico City. He was that way at Chicago, and he is the odds-on favorite by a mile when you go out to the new course in Coronado. What I will say is Denny Hamlin, he's been on a tear. He says he has a great chance to win anytime you only turn left, meaning when we go to the road courses and we turn right and left, not his cup of tea. But then there's some other NASCAR stars. Connor Zilic, a little 19-year-old young rookie. He's very good at the road courses. He's still looking for his first ever win. And some of the names you expect to see all the time. Tyler Reddick, 5 wins this year. He's also dominant on the road courses at times. Chase Elliott is a road course kind of guy. So we're going to have a great mix. Some different names at the front, but some of the NASCAR stars will be there as well.
Last thing for you, Steve. What are you most looking forward to when it comes to visiting San Diego and being able to call a NASCAR race on a naval base on an island?
So, I've been asked that question a lot, and the absolute truth is I don't know. I love San Diego. I love the area. I love the weather. I love the fan base. For me, I really believe NASCAR has been synonymous with the military, and we've really done our best. And one of the proudest things I am to be considered part of this NASCAR family is how they try to honor the military. And I really think we always talk about taking our sport to the fans. And I believe that's our responsibility, to find areas in the country where we can deliver the opportunity to go to a race to our fans. So now we get to deliver the opportunity to go to the race and celebrate the military. And the race on track will be great. And anytime these NASCAR stars strap in, I know they're going to put on a good show. But to be able to kind of bring it right to the doorstep of the military, doing it on Naval Base Coronado, I think that's what we're going to highlight, and that's what we're going to celebrate the most.
We're looking forward to it, Steve. Thanks again for taking some time to talk with us about the upcoming couple of races here this weekend. Have a great time in San Diego, and look forward to hearing you on the call.
All right. Appreciate you having me.
Steve Letarte, former crew chief for Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr., and current color analyst for Amazon Prime, TNT, NASCAR, and NBC. Does it all. He'll be on the call this weekend for NASCAR. Should be a great time. We need to get to break. When we come back, we'll dive more into Padres baseball, what happened last night, take a look at Dustin May and Lucas Giolito, and also get back to our trade conversation that we had to start the show today. 1 hour in the books, 3 more to go. The Braden Surprenant Show, Settings Over Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting us over on Sports Station 97.3, The Fan. Good to be talking ball and tire with all of you. Frankie four turns over there.
Wait a minute.
Frankie left turns.
Wait a minute. That sound as awkward and as weird as possible.
Ball and tire. Talking motor.
Jeez.
Talking motor over here, Frank. What you know about motor?
Oh, God.
You can't say the guy knows.
Enough.
You can't say the guy knows ball if there's no ball involved.
Guy knows grip is what he knows.
Guy knows track. Guy knows track, man. Track and field? Nah, dog.
He knows about that waxing crescent moon phase. He knows, man.
The NASCAR stuff's been fun. I can't wait to get out there this weekend. It's going to be a blast. I got family in town that are literally flying out just for the race. So it's going to be cool. I got other it's going to be a fun time in Coronado. I know that they're going to put on a big event over there at the base. I'm sure it's going to be tough getting on and off the island. So I would imagine it's probably best to get there as early as possible. I don't know what they limited the size to, but people really underestimate how highly attended these NASCAR events are.
I think they said, I was watching Ben's hit from yesterday from out there, and I think somebody there said that the parking lots open at 7, gates open at 9.
Correct. I did see that.
Yeah.
I know for a fact my uncle's going to be there at 7. He's going to be in at 7, and he's going to be sitting at the gate until it turns into 9 o'clock. That's definitely going to happen. For sure.
I've hardly been able to sleep this past week.
You got to get some sleep, otherwise you're going to be like a zombie, and you're not going to get the whole experience.
Oh, trust me, you get up for Disneyland. It doesn't matter what time it is. when you're at Disneyland, you get up for Disneyland. Don't worry.
Okay. That makes sense now. All right. Let's check back into Padre baseball. And we'll talk about the World Cup later on the noon hour. The next World Cup game does start at noon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, first of the day is at noon.
First of the day, we'll have a full report on that later on in the show. But we got to get back to Padres baseball, what happened yesterday with the Padres. I mean, obviously, not a lot when it comes to the offense. They got one hit. Dustin May had a great day. You know, I chalked that one up as Dustin May had a great day, more so than anything else. And if you want to know anything about how the Padres did not get anything to go their way, just look at Lucas Giolito's glove with the ball going right through it on what could have been an inning-ending out that could have put up a 0, but it wouldn't have mattered because the Padres still gave up another run later, and they would have lost 1-0 instead of 3-0. Couldn't get the offense going. They remain the worst offensive team in Major League Baseball against fastballs. They ended the game last in batting average against four-seam fastballs, sinkers, and cutters, only hitting .250 as a team. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Only Fernando ranks in the top 100 against fastballs. He hits .304 against them. May leaned into this matchup advantage. He used his 3 fastball variants as primary pitches last night for the first time this season while mixing in an effective sweeper and a changeup from the pitching side. Padres use an opener and Wandy Peralta. Clean 1-2-3 first inning before they turned it over to Lucas Giolito. He showed early command, 71% of fastballs in the zone, which is a season high, but unraveled due to command issues, including a bizarre equipment malfunction with the ball going right through his glove webbing on a comebacker, leading to a bases clearing double the very next at bat. And then he later walks that set up a 3-0 Cardinals lead. Bullpen wasn't heavily taxed due to the game yesterday, so that's a positive. We'll talk about the opener situation in just a little bit. Jackson Merrill, I mean, we didn't even talk about this yet. Jackson Merrill robbed his 5th home run of the season. Another impressive play. When you saw him running back on that ball yesterday, I literally said out loud, I said, he's going to catch this. I'm like, he's like he's too cool running back on this fence right now. He's going to catch this ball. It's like almost fly balls to center now that are close. If Merrill's running back on it, I am at the point now where I just think he's going to catch it. I mean, what an impressive play. to me, the fact, by the way, I don't know how that doesn't count as a defensive run saved. Out of everything in baseball, if you had to show me a play that describes a stat, defensive run saved would be a guy jumping and snagging a ball that cleared the fence and bringing it back for an out. I would say he defensively saved the run. Would you not, Frank? I mean, isn't that like the definition of a defensive run saved?
One would think, yeah, robbing and home run.
And home run. That is and run. That has now been saved. And run. Fernando broke up the perfect game with a leadoff walk in the 7th. We talked about that. Extended his on-base streak. He's performed well since shifting primarily to second base. May 12th onward. How about that, too? How many people were that barking at us 2 weeks ago about the whole, this team would be better if Fernando moved back to right field? Is that the case?
I think it's safe to say we could stop the Fernando in right field experiment now.
How about the leadoff thing, too? Remember everybody was chirping about that during spring training? No, I can't be in the leadoff spot. It's not a leadoff hitter. He's got to get back to hitting home runs. Let's put it. Well, it doesn't really matter anyway. When he hits home runs, there's got to be guys on base. The guy rakes when he's a leadoff hitter, and he rakes when he's in the infield. Just leave him there. At this point in time, you should not move Fernando anywhere else. If you want to give him some spot starts at right field, fine. Leave him at second base. Let him bat leadoff. There's no reason to move him ever again. Just let him be the leadoff hitter. You're not going to get any. And we've already gone through this multiple times, right? Because we've gone through the numbers and we were trying to find somebody other than Fernando to lead off. They don't have anybody else to lead off. It's him. This is the guy. You found your leadoff guy. He hits better when he bats leadoff. Just leave him in the leadoff spot. Doesn't need to be more changes than that. So since May 12th, when he became the everyday second baseman, May 12th onward, he's put together some pretty good numbers. I mean, he's hitting .320 with a .785 OPS, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's got 5 doubles. That seems a lot better than what he was before May 12th. And before May 12th, things seemed a little bleak for Fernando to get the season started because he didn't have the home runs and he was hitting .243 with a .611 OPS. I will take Fernando in the infield. I will take Fernando batting leadoff, Frank. I don't think that needs to change ever again.
No, I don't think so. I think we're fine now. I think
Manny Machado recorded the team's only hit. I find that to be ironic at this point. I mean, that's just kind of funny. I mean, you're getting perfect games by the other team's pitcher, and the one guy that has struggled the most, more than anybody else in this team, is the guy that got the hit. Solid knock, to the left side of the infield. The other notes from last night's game too. I thought the opener worked for the Padres. I know the Padres ended up losing the game, but I thought the opener worked. I think it gave the Padres a good opportunity to get some outs there in the first inning. Wandy Peralta, as an opener now in 2 games of the Padres, has put up zeros, and that's all you can ask for. Now, I think some people ask the question about should he have gone further. I had this thought driving around yesterday. I was driving over to watch the game, and I was listening to the radio broadcast, and after the top of the first inning, I'm driving around and I have this thought and I go, I wonder if Wandy Peralta is going to walk out of the dugout or is he just going to come in from the bullpen? Because most starting pitchers, Frank, they come out of the dugout when they're the away team.
Yeah.
Because that's what a starting pitcher does. But the guy's a bullpen arm. If he just runs out from the bullpen, it's just nothing changes. It's going to be like he just is coming in to pitch out of relief. Sure enough, he did that. And so when asked the question about whether or not you're going to have Wandy Peralta go an extra inning, because Adam asked that question, it's like, well, he pitched pretty well. Like, why didn't he just go a little bit further? If you're going to have the guy run out from the bullpen, wouldn't you want Lucas Giolito to, I don't know, start with a clean inning if that's the case? I mean, if you're going to try to keep things as close to normal as possible, I feel like if you brought Giolito in with guys on base and in a weird situation, I think it could have been bad for the Padres. I just Lucas Giolito's a pro enough; it probably wouldn't have affected him. But this stuff gets shaky for pitchers. This stuff matters to pitchers. They get into routines. They like things a certain way. So let's say you do go with Wandy Peralta and you want Lucas Giolito to get a clean inning, and Wandy gives up a hit or whatever, or he gets into trouble. Who's saving Wandy at that point? You get a Ron Marinaccio type pitcher to come in. I guess you could do that, but then you're burning two pitchers when you could have, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the opener, right? So I think they played it well yesterday. For anybody that wanted to see Wandy Peralta go an extra inning because he looked good in the first inning, I think they executed that as best they could. Cardinals got one ball go through the glove of Giolito that led to 2 runs on the very next at bat. They added another run later on in the game, to take the 3-0 lead. But overall yesterday, Padres offense couldn't do anything against Dustin May, and they lose a 3-0 ball game. The fastball problems, I think, are interesting, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. We're also going to look at what Giolito did yesterday, because he did a job of putting you in a position to win. But he's been very inconsistent, and just like Griffin Canning, it just doesn't seem like he's trending in the right direction. We'll take a deeper dive in that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. The drought is over. For the first time since 1973, the New York Knicks are NBA champions. Knicks defeated Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs in 5 games and capped off one of the most dominant playoff runs in NBA history. Jalen Brunson delivered a masterpiece in the clinching game, scoring 45 points and earning Finals MVP honors. Mike Brown, hired after many questioned whether he has whether he was New York's first choice, guided the franchise to its first title in 53 years. The USD Torero, Mike Brown, Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby all played huge roles during the postseason run that saw the Knicks win 15 of the final 16 playoff games. Meanwhile, Victor Wembanyama and the young Spurs fell just short, but after reaching the finals at just 22 years old, their future still looks incredibly bright. After decades of heartbreak, basketball is back on top in New York. The Knicks are champions, Frank.
Yeah. After 53 years of waiting, basketball glory has finally returned to New York. The Knicks completed one of the greatest postseason runs in league history on Saturday night, defeating the San Antonio Spurs 94-90 in Game 5 of the NBA Finals to capture the franchise's first NBA championship since 1973, led by Finals MVP Jalen Brunson. The Knicks closed out an incredible playoff journey that included a 15-1 record over the final 16 games. And remember, that was after they started 1-2 in the first round, and record-setting plus 283-point differential, the best playoff margin in NBA history. It was unbelievable, and as a fan, unforgettable.
Championship clinching Game 5 looked very bleak for New York entering the fourth quarter. San Antonio held an 83-73 lead with just over 8 minutes remaining and appeared poised to extend the series. But just like they had throughout the postseason, the Knicks never panicked. Brunson delivered another legendary performance, scoring 45 points and putting the finishing touches on a postseason that elevated him into franchise icon status. New York methodically wore down the young Spurs and closed the game with another comeback victory, finishing off the series in 5. Little gentleman's sweep for you. For a franchise that endured decades of heartbreak, near misses, and false starts, the championship represented the end of one of sports' longest droughts. Hopefully, that leads to some other long droughts in certain sports championships as well.
Winning the first game in San Antonio for the Knicks was massive. It felt as though you gave them a chance. You put the pressure back on the Spurs. Winning both games in San Antonio, you're like, okay, we really have a shot at this. We got 3 games in our place. We got 2 left here in San Antonio. We definitely have the upper hand here. Game 3 was what it was. But when you come back again from 29 points down in the NBA Finals. That game 4 will live forever as the game that New York clinched that championship. That's twice now that they've done that. Come back from 20 points or more in this run, and also they were down by double digits in every single one of these games against the Spurs, and were able to win the championship in 5.
Let's talk about the San Diego Torero, Mike Brown, the head coach of the New York Knicks. It was kind of his redemption story. I mean, one of the biggest stories behind the title belongs to head coach Mike Brown. Brown was hired after the Knicks explored several other coaching candidates following the dismissal of Tom Thibodeau, and many questioned the decision. Instead, Brown transformed New York into a balanced team built on defense, ball movement, and clutch execution. After the final buzzer, Brown admitted the moment felt surreal. He described himself as exhausted and emotional after finally reaching the mountaintop. Players repeatedly credited Brown for keeping them together and establishing the habits that ultimately led to a championship. So the one lone San Diego connection, USD Torero Mike Brown, able to be the coach of the championship winning team.
Yep. And there were plenty of unsung heroes as well in this series. While Jalen Brunson grabs the headlines and legend status in New York, the Knicks received contributions from everywhere. Josh Hart continued to embody New York's gritty personality. Hart scored 13 points in Game 5, hitting 3 3-pointers, dove for loose balls, and once again provided the kind of energy that has made him a fan favorite in New York. He also defended teammate Mikal Bridges, joking, "Forget them picks," referencing the massive package New York surrendered for Mikal Bridges. Meanwhile, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, who had the big tip in Game 4, and Bridges all delivered throughout the playoffs, proving that this championship was more than just a one-man show, and also very special for Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. Those guys won a national championship with Villanova together. So now the Nova Knicks are lifting the NBA Finals trophy.
Yeah, Nova Knicks in full force. As for the Spurs, they fall short, but the future remains bright. Although the finals ended in disappointment, the future still appears. Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt will be at 3:45. Game's on TBS tonight?
It's on the local broadcast, and it's on TBS.
So it's on TBS if you want a national broadcast, but it's going to be on Padres TV for a local broadcast. And of course, you can always listen to the game right here on 97 through the Fan.
I wonder if Don's going to do
TBS.
Yeah, I would have to assume he's going to do TBS.
It's kind of a gray area sometimes.
Why fly another broadcaster out there? If Don usually does CBS, he's already there. May as well, right? That would be my thought, at least, if I were a producer there.
There's a lot of, based on broadcasters that I know and stories that I have heard,
that's not what's going to happen.
You would think that, Frank, but there's a lot of these guys that end up doing, I heard a story one time where it was a broadcaster that was working for a network, and he was living in LA, and he was doing like the weekend, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he kept getting sent to Ohio to do games, like college games. And he's like, why do I keep getting sent to Ohio? Like what? And so he called the network and we're like, hey, look, go, everything's great, whatever. I don't have a problem going there, but I just want to know why. I'm flying from LAX to Ohio. I'm out here on I could do more West Coast games. And the network went, oh, we thought, what are you doing? We aren't you from Cincinnati?
What are you doing in LA?
Don't you live in Cincinnati? And he said, no, I live in Los Angeles. I gave you the W-9. My checks come here. I'm flying at. It's I live in LA, and they're like,
oops.
But your area code says Cincinnati,
bruh.
And he was like, yeah, that's where I was like, that's where I grew up. I mean, that's my phone. I don't live there anymore. And they were like, the network was like, we were wondering why you were flying from LAX everywhere. It didn't really make any sense.
Bro!
And then you know what happened? They thought he was in Ohio. Guess who stopped getting gigs? stop getting gigs at that point. That guy ended up getting himself like canned because they thought he was in Ohio. They didn't need him anymore. They're like, oh, we have West Coast guys. All right, we'll just save some money. We'll go find somebody else. That's wild. So like I said, I'm just telling you, like I said, you would think that. You have no idea. You don't know. Like, there's a lot of ins and outs. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of stuff like that going on in whatever.
At what point does the travel secretary say, hey, listen, this guy keeps flying from Los Angeles to go to Ohio.
Right. You want me to still keep approving this? Like,
why is he doing that? Does he must live there, wouldn't you think? It would make sense, no? At what point did this is why I just stay in my room.
And like, come on. Come on. Like, we have to be better than this, right?
This is why I stay in my room.
I mean, I know a lot of people that, travel to do television jobs. And I know how, like, their whole thing, they book their own stuff and then the network pays for it, right?
Yeah.
They flag stuff all the time. They're like, we're not paying for that. Or like, why don't you go on this flight? They had to have seen it and been like, why are we paying for this? It's amazing, like how people miss some of this stuff sometimes.
Anyway.
Where's this Curb Your Enthusiasm? Fired up. Fired up. I think sometimes how you hear some things. I hear that all the time.
For something as common as common sense.
Nobody's really got it.
No one has it.
All right. Let's change gears. Ha! NASCAR.
He draws the foul.
I was waiting for that. Sorry, I haven't had a foul in a while. By the way, I assessed a foul to one of my players today.
Uh-oh.
He draws the foul.
So we're doing like tackling form.
Yeah.
And so like you want to have your hands like proper tackling form, whatever. I don't want to do a clinic right now, but like the goal you want to have your hands like up holstered.
Yeah.
Right? Or a gun holster would be. Like a cowboy gun holster, which is like above your hip.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to explain that to the kid. I was like, no, it's not down here on your leg. It's like up here. Like you have to, and then
it's at your waistband.
And then you have to go up to pull the barrel out of the holster. And then like, that's how they did it. And one of our kids, that's a freshman, it's going to be a sophomore, was like, I think I would have been mad sick at duels. And I was like, bro, your holster like already is too low. Like I'm going to tell you right now, probably not. You'd get it stuck in the barrel. You get the barrel stuck in the holster, and then you just get like shot in the side. He was like, yeah, but they always like walk back, and he's like, why don't you just turn around and shoot him? I'm like, then somebody else would shoot you. It's called honor. Like, people had honor back then. People believed in honor back then, and we have a kid on our team named Honor.
Yeah.
And so this kid was like, I believe in honor. And I was like, foul, dude. Give me a break. I think he's a good player. Bang, foul, chalk it up.
New homework assignment. Go home, watch Tombstone.
It's a great movie.
And report back to me what you found out.
I'm your Huckleberry. It's a great movie. I do that too. You know what I also said? One of our kids, he's going to be a senior. He decided to grow out a goatee.
Oh, no.
Coach, what do you think about my goatee? It looks dumb. That's what I got to say. I don't, I'm not a big positive reinforcement guy. I tell it how it is. I just it looks kind of dumb. I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm trying not to think about it so this way I don't damage your self-esteem.
Right. One kid had a little mustache coming in, like a little teenager. What do you think about ladies love the mustache? I said, brother, you look like Snoopy's cousin. Get that off your face. Snoopy's cousin. Do you guys know what Snoopy's cousin looks like? He's got the little whiskers and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what that one kid looked like. But this kid, he had the goatee. You know what I said? I said, you look like Robert De Niro in Heat is what you look like.
Don't even.
He looked like Robert. That's home. What his goatee looked like.
No, it's.
And I said,
I immediately would be like, I've recognized my mistake. Go home, watch it, tomorrow you'll come back laughing hysterically.
I said, that's what you look like. He's like, show me a picture. I'm like, no, watch the movie. It's great. One other kid's like, yeah, it's got Al Pacino in it. I'm like, hey, cultured over here. This guy knows.
One less lap today.
This is how we coach the youth, you know? This is how we coach the youth. I would love to see Frank Marchese coach youth sports.
No, you don't.
What he would assess laps for would be hysterical. Hey, Coach Marchese, the Mets suck. Just start running. I know this. I don't need to hear this. Just start running.
Just go.
Frank the Tank's the best Mets vet. Start running.
Out.
Start running. What else would just really piss you off? Hey, my Phillies owned the Mets this weekend. Just, you know what? You're cut. You don't even get to be on the team anymore. Don't even get to be on the team anymore.
Yeah, do and lap.
Oh, come on, Juan. The kid's probably 18. He's going to be a senior. Juan Ruiz in the chat. Braden recommending R-rated films to children.
Oh,
come on. Foul on Juan.
As if
He draws the foul.
Foul out Tuesday here.
As if Juan didn't. As if any of us haven't seen an R-rated movie before 18. Come on.
I haven't been to the movies in a long time. There hasn't been like a movie that I was like, man, you know what? I really want to see that.
I think
I missed the movies, so I would love to be able to go to a movie and watch something that I actually want to watch. But I remember, like, I can't. Well, first of all, I can't remember the last time I went to a movie. But I think the last movie I saw in theaters was Ford vs. Ferrari. I think that's the last movie I saw in theaters.
I think the last one I saw was with an ex. I think it was the Pokemon movie with Ryan Reynolds that came out in like 2019. It was probably the last time.
I remember even into my adulthood, somebody asking for an ID for an R-rated movie. And I was sitting there looking at him like, I'm old enough to drink. What? Come on. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Lucas Giolito last night. Dustin May last night. We're going to break down what they did on the mound and what direction is Lucas Giolito trending in. We'll get to that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. College football may have just crossed the line we've never seen before. Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby was ruled eligible to play after a court overturned an NCAA decision that would have permanently banned him from gambling violations. And we're not talking about a small mistake. Sorsby admitted to more than 9,000 bets and even placed wagers involving his own team while in Indiana. Traditionally, that's an automatic lifetime ban from college athletics, but a Texas judge ruled he could return after serving a 2-game suspension and continuing treatment for gambling addiction. Now, coaches across the country are sounding the alarm. Many believe gambling has always been the one rule you simply cannot break because it threatens the integrity of the game itself. If betting on your own team isn't enough for permanent NCAA punishment anymore, what rule actually is? One of the biggest stories in college sports this week involves Brendan Sorsby and as a court ruling that could have major implications for NCAA authority moving forward. Texas judge granted Sorsby a temporary injunction that allows him to play for Texas Tech in 2026, despite the NCAA previously ruling him permanently ineligible. Under the ruling, Sorsby will serve a 2-game suspension to become eligible, beginning with Texas Tech's Big 12 opener against Houston. The NCAA has already indicated it plans to appeal. In fact, it did file for an appeal because with the injunction, they would not address this court case until after the conclusion of the football season. That was the latest that we had from last week. But then there was more information that came out on Monday today that the Big 12 has filed a legal complaint. Now, here's the statement from the Big 12 Board of Directors. Last night, the Big 12 filed a legal complaint asking a federal court to protect the constitutional and contractual rights of the conference and our member institutions to take actions expressly permitted under our bylaws. The Big 12 has long spoken out about dangers of sports wagering by student athletes and remains committed to protecting the competitive integrity of conference competition. Universities should not field players who have bet on their own teams in college athletics. This situation is evolving with pending legal matters and the upcoming start of the football season, and the conference hopes for a timely resolution of these issues. the board continues to keep all options on the table. Ross Dellinger reported that the Big 12's legal threat puts Brendan Sorsby in a dilemma. You either continue on this path, possibly subjecting Tech to a sanction protected by federal injunction, or apply for the NFL supplemental draft, which the deadline is next Monday. However, the twist is Sorsby may not even have access to that draft because the draft only applies for players who are not eligible to play in college. For now, he is eligible to play per a Texas state court ruling. If he does apply, he may now need an exception from the NFL. An unprecedented situation grows more and more fascinating by the day. That's a lot of information to unpack, Frank, but this thing continues to go on a crazy tour. And my biggest takeaway from this is Texas Tech is willing to ruin the reputation, ruin their logo, ruin everything about their brand for a player that has not even taken a snap for Texas Tech and could potentially not take a snap for Texas Tech at all. And that to me is interesting that Texas Tech is willing to take sanctions for a guy that's not even that great of a quarterback.
Yeah, and again, just to go over, 9,000 bets totaling at least $90,000, including bets on Indiana football while he was on the team, bets on Indiana basketball, and bets on Cincinnati athletics while he was at the University of Cincinnati. I don't understand how I do. They paid $5 million for him. But outside of that, I don't understand how a school they're going to forget about this kid unless he wins a national championship, which there's no signaling that he will or that Texas Tech will this year. They're going to forget about this kid in 2 or 3 years. So why are you willing to put it all on the line for this guy, get yourself potentially kicked out of the Big 12? You'd be an independent school for reasons not Notre Dame, and you're going to find it next to impossible if you play this kid. You're going to find it next to impossible to schedule opponents because no one's going to want to play you because of this. So it means all of that for $5 million. That seems like a very, very steep penalty to pay for a kid who's never played for you.
The other thing too, it's like now you have 3 state attorney generals, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma, that have sent a letter to the Big 12 backing the league's potential sanctions of Texas Tech and criticizing Texas's attorney general legal threats to the conference. Quote, the harm from Texas Tech's proposed course of action is not merely legal, it is structural. You have multiple states now jumping in on this as well. And again, it's just like, why? All right, guys, join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us over at Sports Station 97.3, The Fan. We're going to talk NASCAR earlier today. We're talking Padres baseball as well. We're going to get into our sports thread in just a little bit, but we do want to get into Lucas Giolito and how he pitched yesterday. Dustin May was really good yesterday against the Padres. I think that's one of those. I don't like tipping my cap to the other pitcher all the time. I think last night is one of those instances. But we'll see tonight. The Padres offense continues to look like yesterday. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be great. That's all I can say about that. Let's talk about Lucas Giolito, though, because I think some people yesterday, the narrative was like he wasn't very good. And like overall, his metrics weren't great. I mean, his results were okay. They weren't terrible. They weren't like anything to write home about. But what have we seen out of Lucas Giolito for the last, he's only had, 6 starts in a Padres uniform? And we're going to look at his last 5 because his first one, he looked pretty good. In his last start, which was yesterday, 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, only had 2 strikeouts. He only had 5 whiffs for a 20% called strike whiff rate on 85 pitches. Again, they use Wandy Peralta as an opener for Lucas Giolito. According to the pitcher list PLV, accounts on social media that ranks and grades pitchers. They gave Giolito a C- for his stuff, a C- for locations. Their grade was a D+ overall, and his results were a C-. His primary fastball, his four-seam fastball, came at 91.4 miles an hour with a 17.2-inch induced vertical break, which is not a lot. And he used his four-seam a lot yesterday. Heavy four-seam usage, 48% against left-handers. He left it up a lot. Changeup was used 35% against left-handers, and he used the slider a little bit. In terms of his overall locations, the biggest problem was he couldn't locate to lefties. He had an F grade on locating to lefties, and that has honestly been a problem for him for most of his time with the Padres. These are his location grades. A C grade, 5 starts ago against the Athletics. A D- grade, 4 starts ago against Washington. 3 starts ago, an F against left-handed batters against Philly. And his second to last start, he ended up getting a C against left-handers, which wasn't too bad in comparison, and an F yesterday against left-handed batters. I could see why they started off with an opener for a lefty yesterday, Frank.
Yep, for sure.
Now, in terms of locations against righties, against Cincinnati, he didn't have good location against righties. Got an F grade there. Got a B+ for location against righties in his last start last night. His location has not been great across the board. If he has good command on his stuff, it's usually against righties more than it is against lefties. I mean, his walks yesterday killed his efficiency. 5 walks in 4 innings. We talked about this with Griffin Canning yesterday about over the weekend. The stuff for both Lucas Giolito and Griffin Canning have been okay, and they've been good enough to win. But what they haven't been able to do is locate, and they have command issues. Frank, I think this is a little bit about the fact that they got off to a start without using spring training. I think it's fixable, but they got to start fixing this sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and it's the same thing we talked about with Griffin Canning yesterday. He's kind of just staying stagnant right now. And for Giolito, we've seen signs that he's pitched very, very well. So I haven't, again, another guy who I haven't really seen any reason to get rid of at this point. He's pitched just fine. And yesterday, his performance, looking back at it, 5 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits isn't great. Neither is the 3 walks, but I mean, that's a score line that you could get from a bottom of the rotation pitcher that you should be able to compete with.
My thing here, though, is a lot of his key metrics and trends are not trending in the right direction. At least, like with Griffin Canning, they're staying flatlined, and you see a little bit of hope. Lucas Giolito right now, so May 23rd, we're not including his first start. I just did his last 5 starts. His first start was great. And his stuff for his first start was above a B+. So he goes A to a B+ on May 23rd, to a C on May 29th, to a C on June 4th, to a C on June 9th, to a C- yesterday. That is a slow decline. Slight decline.
Yeah.
His four-seam velocity is sitting low 90s, 90 to 91. He gets good extension. He has had okay induced vertical break. I mean, he's been very heavy on the changeup, and the changeup looked really good early in his starts. But overall, he's had some average stuff lately, and not the plus stuff from his peak years, which I think is a little concerning for a guy like Giolito, who's supposed to be like kind of a middle arm in your rotation. But the biggest problem on top of that, look, the stuff is what the stuff is. You could still win with average stuff in Major League Baseball as a 4 or a 5 starter. Puts a little bit more pressure on Walker Buehler to be better than Lucas Giolito, and even more pressure on Griffin Canning to figure it out. But the thing that's more frustrating, Frank, is what he theoretically can control in terms of locations and command. That has been the biggest and most consistent problem for Lucas Giolito. He has gone from a D- to a C improvement back to a D-, and often it's a D- or worse in terms of his command, and that shows up in recurring high walk totals. 3 to 5 walks is in most of these starts. Not great, Bob. And location grades frequently F grade versus one side or the other, which is dragging down efficiency and results. So his stuff's been okay. It's been average, but to make things worse for Lucas Giolito, he is not commanding any of his pitches, and he's not keeping guys from, he's not limiting the free passes, which is obviously a massive problem for the pitchers in this rotation. Where they run into trouble, handing out free passes.
Yeah, and that's been a big issue that we've seen, especially lately with this starting rotation. And I think the biggest question for Lucas Giolito is, how redeemable do you think this is long term? Because again, you've only got about 2 weeks left before German Marquez comes back. Then you also have Matt Waldron, who should be starting rehab assignments soon. I think there's a viable case that if you don't think that this command issue with Lucas Giolito can get fixed, that he might be the first one to go. He was the last one to come in. Doesn't cost you a lot of money. Who knows? Maybe he could be the first one to go, and they give Griffin Canning a little bit of an extension.
Called strike whiff percentage, 23% 5 starts ago, to 26% to 39% against the Phillies. 18%, 20%, very volatile. June 4th start was the good swing and miss, but was short. His results are mixed at best. I mean, he got, one shutout of walks and then one decent whiff start, but multiple short and inefficient outings with home runs and walks, low strikeout totals recently, pitch mix shifting towards more changeup usage. And as PLV points out, their grade is trending down in recent starts too. So, is he getting better or worse? Right now, he's definitely not improving. It's trending flat to worse. And the May 23rd shutout looked encouraging with B+ stuff. But since then, the stuff grades have slipped to a CC-. Locations of command have stayed poor or worsened in spots. Walk rates remain high. And a lot of these outings for Lucas Giolito have been short and less efficient. He's not missing bats consistently, and there are command issues from earlier in the Padres' tenure that continue to persist. I mean, this is something that needs to be figured out. I guess the silver lining here is, though, it's only been 6 starts, so it is a small sample size, but you would hope to see this number go into a better direction.
Yeah, that's really all you could hope for at this point. Maybe just taking a little bit of time to sort himself out.
Correct. I mean, again, I don't think he's in a position where you get rid of him at this point. I don't. I think you're better off, again, with him trying to figure it out and Ruben Niebla getting him set than anything. But last night, I wouldn't say he was terrible.
No,
I wouldn't say he was terrible.
You could have won with that performance last night.
He doesn't have a ball rip through his glove on an equipment issue, and he probably leaves the game with 1 run. Mm-hmm. And you'll take that every single day out of a guy like Lucas Giolito, or out of anybody in the rotation. So I think yesterday, Dustin May was on his game, used the fastball against the Padres, who can't apparently hit a fastball unless you're named Fernando Tatis Jr., and then defensively, or should I say pitching-wise, had a couple things not go your way. End up losing 3-0. It could have been 1-0. And even with that, the Padres had the tying run come to the plate in the late innings, despite Dustin May throwing a perfect game up to the 7th inning. So it's a flush it game. That's where we're at now.
Yep.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the World Cup. It's going to get back underway in about 15 minutes. At the top of the hour, we'll have a World Cup update for you with Frank Marchese at the noon hour. But we need to get to what else is trending in the sports world with today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, we got going on today?
We got a decent amount going on today.
Number 1.
Pac-12 Commissioner Teresa Gould has reportedly received a 5-year contract extension through 2031, matching the length of the conference's new media rights and grant of rights agreements. Since taking over in 2024, Gould has overseen the rebuilding of the Power Pac-12, which now includes programs such as San Diego State and 9 full members overall, while securing television partnerships with CBS, the CW, and USA Sports. Has Teresa Gould done enough to stabilize and rebuild the Power Pac-12, or does the conference still have a long road ahead to regain national relevance?
Are we going to do this like from a fun mockery standpoint of P is for power? Or do you want my serious answer?
We could do both.
Okay, from a fun standpoint, it's like, oh yeah, it's great. Everything's great. We have a conference. They have stability in that per se. If we want to really have a legit conversation here about whether or not you're a power conference, no, they haven't done anything.
No, they're not a power.
They're not even close. So if you are like, I see it both ways in terms of surviving this round of TV deals. Those 8 to 9 schools did a good job. Check. They got a TV contract done. They're going to be on linear television. That's a win. They have made a better version of a conference. They took the better teams from the Mountain West Conference and took the 2 remaining Pac-12 schools and then went and grabbed the school that's good at basketball. Check. So from a survival standpoint, they did what they needed to do to survive. I don't know. Was her contract up or something?
I'm not sure. Let me see when it was.
But for just case in point, like if it was fine, then you had to give her a contract extension. She didn't do anything to like say that she doesn't deserve that job.
No, correct.
But it's not like, I mean, have they done anything that spectacular that other commissioners wouldn't have been able to accomplish on their own?
It was set to expire at the end of the month.
Okay, well, they needed to get her a contract then. That's fine. I have no qualms about this. She didn't massively ruin this. They got the TV contract they needed. Did they get a ton of money? Probably not. They probably got slightly more than the Mountain West. They still haven't announced any type of money, but they get to be on linear television. Check. That's great news. They surrounded themselves with solid mid-major programs and 2 former power conference programs. They're going to be in a competitive league, and I think just from a football standpoint, the Pac-12 has a better chance at making the playoff than the Mountain West. I think it's going to be tight with the American Conference, but I think they got a better chance in the Sun Belt, better chance in Conference USA, and that's just talking from a football perspective. In basketball, they could be a league that has multiple bids. And right now it's about survival until 2030 when these contracts are up again. And you're going to see the shell game and musical chairs and conferences and teams going all over the place unless Congress gets involved and puts in legislation. But right now, yeah, they've survived. I think San Diego State has survived this craziness and haven't set themselves back, if that makes sense.
I would agree with that, yes.
Number 2.
Hall of Fame wide receiver Calvin Johnson believes his single-season NFL record of 1,964 receiving yards could fall soon and has picked Puka Nacua as one of the legitimate opportunities to do it.
That's so random.
Johnson pointed to Nakua's chemistry with quarterback Matthew Stafford and praised the young receiver's dynamic playmaking ability. Nacua is coming off of a 1,715-yard season and enters 2026 as one of the league's most productive pass catchers. Will Calvin Johnson's single-season record fall soon? And will Puka Nacua be the one to do it?
I think his record will fall relative within the next couple of years. I don't necessarily think it's going to be Puka Nacua. I mean, does anybody remember the offseason that Puka Nacua has now had? I mean, there's a lot of distractions with him. I mean, he's gotten hurt a decent amount. I'll put it this way. Is he talented enough to do it? Yes. Do I think he's going to be the first one to do it? No, I don't. I think you have to have a lot of things go right for the single season receiving record to be broken. So to me, yes, I think with how teams are passing now, with how the league is, somebody's going to break that. I don't necessarily think it's going to be Puka Nacua. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be even younger player. I mean, I think it's going to be a guy coming on the scene type of season, not somebody like, and he's not even that old, but not really an established guy unless the guy just stays healthy for all 16, 17 games.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Number 3.
The Chicago Bulls have reportedly hired former NBA center Tiago Splitter as their new head coach after he guided Portland to a surprising playoff appearance while serving as the interim coach last season. Splitter earned praise for his defensive approach and player development, helping the Trailblazers finish strong and turning Denny Avid, I'm not hurting myself, into a first-time All-Star. The first move signals a new direction for Chicago following the departure of longtime head coach Billy Donovan. Can Tiago Splitter's success in Portland translate to Chicago, or is this a risky move for a Bulls franchise looking to return to contention?
It would be risky to me if Portland brought him back to be the head coach. Because I think it's risky to always hire the interim if you have success. Like, look at the Vegas Golden Knights. They're not bringing back their interim head
Tortorella's.
They're not bringing him back. He got him to the Stanley Cup final. And
Tortorella is a different case. He's an established head coach. Usually interims are...
But still, the interim, like, it's very rare the interim turns into a long-established coach. Yeah. It's a lot of like, oh, we played hard for this guy. We love this guy. And then it's like, oh, we have to do this because he got us there. It's just sometimes the changing of the coach gets you the spark, but that doesn't mean that guy needs to be the head coach. To me, with the Bulls, it's different because they did their full search, right? And they determined that this is the guy they want to lead. It's a little bit less risky, in my opinion. Whether or not you think the Bulls are competent enough to make these decisions, that's a different conversation. But in terms of like the risk, I think if it's the same team that just hires the interim to be the head coach, most of the time I think it's lazy, and I think we're going off the vibes. The fact that it's a different team hiring him, they obviously valued what he did. They like him personally to be their head coach. They see him as the head coach of the Bulls. I don't think it's as risky.
And also, Tiago Splitter did a great job in filling in, because remember how this NBA season started with a lot of controversy around the Portland Trailblazers because of the gambling thing. So right. he inherited a very sticky wicket and was able to succeed in it.
Number 4.
The Atlanta Braves received mixed injury news on Monday as ace Spencer Strider was shut down for at least 4 weeks with right elbow inflammation. Strider, who has already undergone multiple elbow procedures during his career, will be reevaluated after a month of rest before determining his next steps. Atlanta did get a boost with reigning NL Rookie of the Year Drake Baldwin returning from the IL after missing time with an oblique strain. Maybe I should ask, Adam, how concerned are you as a Braves fan that Strider's done again?
At this point, though, you've played so many games without him. I mean, I think when the guys just return, like when they're constantly getting hurt, you almost get numb to them getting hurt again, and you're just like, well, we've moved on.
That's how I felt with the Mets and DeGrom.
I think eventually you just go like, he's just never gonna. We can never expect this guy to play at this point. Yep. And so, you know what? That doesn't mean it's his fault either. I mean, it's the reality of the situation. It's like we have to move on from this. So I don't think Braves fans are that nervous about it, because I don't think they were counting on it to begin the season anyway. Need lunchtime hour when we come back. super creative. I think it's a great win for the Padres.
Real opinions, real takes, no wasted time.
It has been the little things that have outdone San Diego State, and that's where they got to improve.
Live and local on 97.3 The Fan. The Braden Surprenant Show starts now.
New lunchtime hour on The Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. World Cup action about to get underway. Here at noon, it is France and Senegal for game 1 of the World Cup slate today. And as we have been doing in the noon hour, it's time to get to our World Cup update. What is this? Is this the World Cup song?
No, this is whatever Sky Sports used or used to use. We'll start off with yesterday, a big upset in the way of a draw.
This is a win.
I mean, look, they're celebrating down
It's
to the
over.
right.
It's over. It is a win in every possible way for Cape Verde in their first ever World Cup game. A 0-0 draw with the European champion Spain.
Cape Verde coming away with a draw against Spain. They parked the bus, and boy, did they park it in the way. 0-0 draw, a day full of draws yesterday. After that was Belgium versus Egypt. Those two come away with a 1-1 draw. Imam Ashur for Egypt scoring, and then it was later, it looked as though Romelu Lukaku scored for Belgium. Instead, it was later overturned to an own goal. So Egypt putting 2 in the back of the net. Unfortunately, one of them counted for Belgium. Later on in the day, Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay. Saudi Arabia got out to a 1-0 lead in the 41st minute of the match. 10 minutes to go. Uruguay found the equalizer.
They get closer, into the box, headed down, save. Another one, and they tie it at 1. Big goal for Aroha.
Both of those calls courtesy of Fox Soccer. That game goes to a draw between Saudi Arabia and Uruguay, 1-1. The nightcap, Iran taking on New Zealand. Iran fell back early, came back and drew. Elijah Just, who scored the first goal for New Zealand, gives them the lead again with his second goal of the night before Iran very quickly tied it back up within 10 minutes, a 2-2 draw. So you saw a 0-0 draw yesterday, 2 1-1s, and a 2-2 draw yesterday between the Group H and Group G teams. Today, Group I and J take over center stage. France versus Senegal just kicked off 30 seconds into the match. Iraq versus Norway coming up at 3 p.m. on Fox. Argentina versus Algeria will be at 6 p.m. on Fox. Austria versus Jordan will be at 9 p.m. on Fox. So all 4 of the games tonight will be on Fox, and we are just about done with the first round through of the group stage.
Yesterday, the highlight, of course, was Cape Verde against Spain. But it was so evenly matched throughout the entire day, every single game, and the heightened of the play. And right now, I mean, yes, Germany won big, but a lot of the favorites, Frank, are getting everything they can handle right now from a lot of countries that, you know, you would say are glad that they're there, right? Like lucky to be here kind of attitude. But we've seen some great gritty performances here in the group stage.
Yeah, if anything, yesterday after Spain versus Cape Verde, yesterday was more or less kind of a dud of a day, at least compared to what we've had so far in this World Cup. Today should be pretty decent. Again, you got France who is a big favorite playing right now. You have Argentina, the defending champions, playing in the third match of the day at 6 p.m. tonight. So you got some big names, you got some big teams playing today. And this match here between France and Senegal is very, very big. 2 top 15 clubs in the world. These are the 2 teams that are expected to win and get out of the group. So a very, very good matchup here to start the day off.
I'm excited for the rest of this tournament. I mean, it's been fun to watch. I mean, again, I'm not like the biggest soccer fan in the world, but we've mentioned it almost every single time. There's nothing like the World Cup and seeing like all of these countries partake and seeing this level of soccer and seeing some of the strategy. I mean, you sent me that video the other day or yesterday, maybe it could have been this morning, of Team USA's attack against Paraguay in a country that has been great defensively over the last, over the last calendar year and a little bit more, and the different strategies of attacking, a team that parked the bus. And yet Team USA ended up with 4 goals. And I'm excited for the next Team USA match, but what has been your biggest takeaway of this group stage in the World Cup?
High drama. That has been every single game, every single match so far in this tournament has felt like a final or a final capable game. It has been just drama and action packed from start to finish for every single one of these games. Very, very seldom so far over the course of this last week have we seen a dud of a game. So it has been a very, very entertaining tournament to watch so far.
Yeah, I'm excited to see a little bit more of this. Now we got, France and Senegal. It just got underway. Overall, other takeaways from the World Cup. I mean, how about this? Like, we haven't talked about this at all. The NFL players being so irritated that they can't get natural grass in a lot of these stadiums. I'm a big advocate for natural grass for events, especially at the highest level. Now, that being said, as somebody that coaches high school football, it's too difficult, I think, here in San Diego to require every high school to have natural grass again and take care of the grass and all that stuff. It's more cost effective with the turf. I understand. And then I don't think playing on turf is great. But if you have the ability to play on natural grass, I think you should have it. And I think, all these NFL stadiums are doing it to host the World Cup. Obviously, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you don't get it a lot. And a lot of these organizations understand that, and hosting the World Cup is a tremendous honor. But I think it shows that they could put natural grass in a lot of these stadiums. Shoot, a lot of the indoor stadiums, Frank, are retractable roofs now. Or they have the transparent roof like SoFi. I feel like you could have grass for an NFL season.
Los Angeles Stadium.
I could say SoFi for the United States. I was talking about NFL stadiums. I wasn't talking about current
that, and you also
stadiums
have,
for FIFA.
That, and you also have the stadium in Phoenix that their entire floor rolls out. So the natural grass can get natural light. So that is way different, and that's a way big expense, and that's something that a lot of these stadiums are going to have to completely remodel their entire stadium for. So that's a little over the top, but
I think a lot of them have the capability of having the grass. They need to keep the grass for one fall season.
Yeah.
They could kill it during the off season. They can roll turf in there when it's not NFL. You need it for what? 8 games?
Mm-hmm. At the minimum, yeah.
Yeah, 8 games, maybe 9 max. I mean, most of these organizations now got to play like all these games internationally and all over the place. It's like 8 games to have grass. I know in San Diego it's been a problem at Snapdragon Stadium. There's like all the usage of the turf, but you could have the natural grass just for the NFL games and roll the turf out there for the high school and everything else. I mean, they just proved that they could do it right here for a lot of these entities. I think for sure the outdoor stadium should have natural grass for football.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, there's no reason you can't have natural grass in New York for games. I mean, in the wintertime, it probably sucks, but there's technology for that. These are
I remember
billion old. These are billionaire companies.
God, I remember that one game, Miami versus Pittsburgh, where it just a torrential downpour and it just became a mud field. At that point, there was a punt that the guy dropped that just stuck right in. But also, there's other ways to do it and other ways to keep natural grass, in the shape that it needs to be in. Tottenham Hotspurs, I believe, if Juan in the chat could help me out with this one, I believe they have there's grass strips effectively that all fold underground. So they get the grass lights and all that stuff to keep it fresh and looking good, but it's also not exposed to the elements because it gets like piled and rolled underground, kind of like one of those drive-in parking lots where you just picks your car up and parks someone under you and so on.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's something like that could also be, and that wouldn't require nearly as much re-engineering of your stadium, like doing what Phoenix does.
Yeah, I mean, they also have a lot of space where they could do that because they built it out in the middle of nowhere. Well, at the time, in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, in Glendale. Not a lot of people could do that now. But like you see all the stadiums are like cookie cutter stadiums now. These renderings, they all have these transparent roofs and stuff like that. You could totally put natural grass out there. I mean, there's ways to engineer this.
Yeah, I think Tottenham has it. I think Tottenham has it. I think Real Madrid may have just gotten it with their new stadium, the folding the layers of grass. And I want to say some club in Germany has it, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Brendan Sorsby is going to the supplemental draft. We will finally put a bow on this story when we come back. Denny Hamlin is on an absolute tear right now in NASCAR, and Pocono just proved it again. He just grabbed his record 8th win at the track, and more importantly, he's now won 3 straight Cup Series races for the first time in his 21-year career. At 45 years old, Hamlin is sitting at 64 career wins, moving into 9th all-time, and he's closing in fast on the championship lead, just 19 points back of Tyler Reddick. And here's the twist. He's not just chasing Reddick. He helps own the team Reddick, the team that Reddick drives for alongside Michael Jordan. So now you've got a teammate versus boss versus title rival all in one storyline. Next stop, NASCAR heads to a brand new military-based street circuit in Coronado, California, and nobody has any data on it. That could blow this playoff race wide open. Pocono Raceway once again delivered a familiar storyline at the front, but this time it came with history attached.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin put together one of the defining runs of his career, capturing his record 8th win at Pocono Raceway in the NASCAR Cup Series, driving the number 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. Hamlin held off Tyler Reddick in a fuel mileage showdown. Actually had to catch Reddick from about 10 seconds back, or was it Reddick? Oh, no, I'm sorry. He had to catch his teammate, Christopher Bell, from about 10 seconds back. Bell ended up running out of fuel. Reddick comes home in second in a fuel mileage showdown, winning by just over 1.6 seconds in a tense final run to the checkered flag. And maybe the most important part is this is not just a one-off. Hamlin has now done something he has never done in his 21-year full-time Cup career. 3 straight victories, Nashville, Michigan, and now Pocono. At 45 years old, he is not slowing down. He's arguably at the peak of one of the most consistent stretches of his career.
Yeah, he now sits at 64 career Cup wins, moving into 9th all-time, and he's turned Joe Gibbs Racing into the hottest team in NASCAR right now. But Pocono wasn't just about victory. It was about pressure. Tyler Reddick leaves, now still leading the standings, but the gap is shrinking fast, and now just 19 points over Hamlin, who also happens to co-own Reddick's 2311 racing team alongside Michael Jordan. That adds unique tension. Teammate, boss, title rival, all wrapped into one storyline, heading toward the playoff cutoff. Behind them, Christopher Bell's fuel gamble almost worked, but he ran dry late, finishing outside the top 25 after a strong strategy call fell apart in the final laps. Meanwhile, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, and Ryan Blaney all stayed in the mix, but Pocono made one thing clear: execution is everything right now with the regular season winding down. The race wasn't clean in the midfield either. Multi-car crash in stage 2 collected several contenders, including Bubba Wallace and Brad Keselowski, reshaping strategy across the field and creating survival-style racing through the final stages. Todd Gilliland also grabbed his first career stage win, showing how unpredictable fuel and tire strategy has become at super speed and saver tracks like Pocono. And that unpredictability is exactly what is setting up a chaotic stretch into the playoffs. But what's next? San Diego, baby. Coronado takes center stage.
Yes, Naval Air Station Coronado, home of the Qualcomm circuit for the inaugural Anduril 250, one of the most unique race settings NASCAR has ever seen. Street course style racing on a military base, tight margins, a brand new layout means that they are walking in blind. No notebooks, no history, just pure adaptation. This could shape up the playoff picture in a big way, especially for drivers sitting right on the cut line like Brad Keselowski, like Joey Logano, like Austin Cindric. Those are big names that you're going to have to watch out for, none of which really have a strong repertoire as far as road course racing is concerned.
Now, while NASCAR dominates the headlines in the United States, overseas, motorsports delivered heavy storylines of their own. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Toyota executed a near-perfect strategy to take victory with the number 7 crew of Conway, Kobayashi, and De Vries. It marked Toyota's first win since 2022 and reinforced their dominance in the hypercar era with another legendary endurance performance.
And in Formula One, Lewis Hamilton reminded everyone why he is still Lewis Hamilton. Driving for Ferrari, he snapped Mercedes' winning streak with a strategic masterclass in Barcelona. I'm sorry, Ferrari, strategic masterclass. Those are two things you don't normally see in a sentence together. Taking his first win in nearly 2 years and delivering Ferrari a massive momentum boost in the championship fight. George Russell and Lando Norris completed an all-British podium while Kimi Antonelli retired late, adding another twist to this championship storyline. So right now it is Mercedes versus Ferrari. Antonelli at the top of the standings, Lewis Hamilton second, Russell third, and Charles Leclerc, the second driver for Ferrari, in fourth.
Yeah, but we're going to be our main focus on NASCAR here in San Diego. And what is your big? What are you excited for most in this street race?
I'm excited for everything. I cannot wait to be able to get out to the racetrack this weekend, be able to see all 3 series here participating.
12:18 on a Tuesday. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Static Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. I want to mention all of you guys. We have new merch out there that you can get for the Braden Surprenant Show. It's on Shopify. It's also, there's a link in the YouTube video below if you want to go check that out. We got some new brown and orange shirts, if you will, that look like the 1980s Padres. We got some with our graphic arts on the back as well. Some white T-shirts. We got a blue and gold one. Kind of looks like one of the schools in town, if you will. And they're on sale now. So you can get your merch and support the Braden Surprenant Show. We appreciate everybody that's already done that. So Juan in the YouTube chat bought one. Nate in the YouTube chat got one. Rod got one. Fridge Watcher got one. Maria, thank you for buying one the other day. We appreciate you guys helping out the show and participating in that. Again, the link is in the YouTube video. Thanks again for supporting us each and every day and listening to our show each and every day. We have a great time talking sports with you if we, throughout the weeks, if you will. Padres baseball, we're going to get back into in just a little bit, but I do want to talk about the Brendan Sorsby. We're finally going to end the Brendan Sorsby situation. I mean, what a couple of weeks this has been for college athletics. And this is the dumb thing about college sports now is we're talking more about these contracts. We're talking more about litigation. We're talking more about legislation. We're talking more about court proceedings and rulemaking and money than we are about actual football, actual basketball, actual, I don't know, anything sports related. So if you didn't hear the news, Brendan Sorsby announced yesterday that him and, well, actually it was Texas Tech, but Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby agreed to a mutual parting of ways. And Brendan Sorsby is now going to enter into the supplemental draft, which is later on in the year. The supplemental draft for the NFL is the other draft right before the start of the season for players in college that are ineligible to play in college. It's after the NFL draft, and there's not a lot of players that get picked in the supplemental draft. But there's a lot to break down with this. I'm curious to see how much money Brendan Sorsby was able to keep from Texas Tech. But for Texas Tech, we talked about this yesterday on our update, and I don't even know if we could really, I mean, now it's like almost outdated because they decided to part ways. But at what point was Texas Tech like, you know what? We got to stop doing this because we are just dragging ourselves in the mud for a player we don't even know can take us to a national championship in his final year. Why are we doing this? It got to a point where it was like, what are we doing? Texas Tech. I asked that question multiple times. The Red Raiders were doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. But I tell you what, that 4 or 5 person roundtable 21-minute video that Texas Tech put out, that is going to age like fine wine in the College Football Hall of Fame, Frank. Everything that they did to try to get this guy on their team. And now they got to go back to Will Hammond, who is a young, talented quarterback for Texas Tech, who's going to be, he's a good player, but he's coming off a knee injury. They brought in Brendan Sorsby as an insurance policy, and he's going to go to the supplemental draft. I think there's a lot of different talking points from this. I don't know what took us so long to get to this point. I'm finally glad that Texas Tech figured out that this is a bad idea, but I think they did too much damage before they came to the realization of, you know what? This would probably be better for us if we just decide to say, yeah, we're good. We don't need this guy on the team anymore.
There was something that you just said. Wonder how much money Texas Tech is giving Sorsby to go away. If I were Texas Tech and Sorsby asked me for any sort of money, I'd be like, do you not know the trouble you've caused? Do you not comprehend how bad we look because of you? Get out of here. Your pay is us not burying you. That is your pay. The pay is us ruining our reputation over the last week, defending the indefensible to try to get you on our field. That is your pay. Get out of here now.
I think Texas Tech actually paid him, though.
I believe they did too.
But I don't know why they were just so. I'm sure money was involved, but just with this can of worms that's been opened with NIL and everything like that, these are the results you're going to get. I mean, people are going to do whatever it takes to try to win a national championship when it comes to money, and you're getting these. Your conscience, and all this other stuff is getting in the way of what could be a national championship for Texas Tech football. Will Hammond's a good quarterback. Texas Tech's not going to be awful because of this. They're better off, and they should have done this months ago when the NCAA ruled that he was going to be ineligible because he was gambling on sports. They should have said, "Sorry, bro, you should have not. You probably shouldn't have done that. Just eat it." Taking the L in the first day of the NCAA saying that he was going to be ineligible to play would have been better long term than just trying to fight it the entire time. And then the funny thing is they got the Texas Attorney General involved, and they're like, this is what we're going to do. And then the Big 12's like, here's our lawsuit. We're naming all of you guys as defendants. And all of a sudden it was like, yeah, it's going to enter the supplemental draft. Funny how that works. But now it gets to the NFL. Does anybody pick this guy up? Somebody's got to pick him up, right? I mean, somebody's got to take a chance, right?
I don't want to touch him.
I wouldn't. Well, smart organizations won't. Are you going to see like the Seattle Seahawks?
Welcome to the Jets, boys.
I mean, you even had the head coach of the Browns saying like, probably not. I mean, if Cleveland doesn't want him, who does? Seriously, who does? Maybe Arizona takes a flyer on him. They're bad and dumb. I mean, seriously. Who goes, we're going to take this guy, we're going to give him millions of dollars, and we're just going to sit there and be like, you know what? Hopefully he doesn't gamble on our games. I don't know who is going to take this guy. I really don't. I don't know who's going to take this guy. It's going to be somebody really dumb, would be my guess. And then, I don't really see this working out for him. I really don't. I mean, maybe it will. I mean, maybe he stops gambling entirely. But I tell you what, you're going to have a lot of eyeballs on him. But here's the other thing I'm confused about the Sorsby situation, Frank, is authorities about this potentially being a problem, which means he's obviously part of some type of investigation. And there's still a lot of other rumors out there or reports about what he had done that is actually illegal, not just like against NCAA rules, but are those charges going to get dropped? I mean, that's another can of worms that they have to open. Oh, by the way, Cincinnati is suing him still for $1 million because he left with, and pursued other NIL that, they're suing him for damages and stuff like that too. So this situation is interesting. It finally ends, and now Texas Tech is moving on to a different quarterback. But, we'll see what happens in terms of the NFL draft or the NFL supplemental draft. I mean, this is something that you don't see a lot of guys get drafted in, the NFL supplemental draft. And here's the other thing. The next draft, this draft that just happened for the NFL, this was a draft that Brendan Sorsby could have been a pretty good draft pick. Because it was a small draft. According to reports, next year's draft is going to be very quarterback heavy. So if anybody really needs a quarterback, is this something they're like, hey, let's take a chance on Brendan Sorsby? Or why don't we pass on Brendan Sorsby and just wait for the NFL draft next April to be able to get a quarterback?
I tell you right now, the only thing Texas Tech is thinking.
What?
Wow. I mean, that was close. We can laugh about it now. We're all right,
I saw that meme go out there from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And that's John Candy speaking. And it's got a Texas Tech logo on him. And Steve Martin's just sitting there just like with the I'm going to kill you face. And it's got the Big 12 logo on it. That's it. That sums up exactly what just happened in college football. So the NFL supplemental draft, it's an alternate summer event for college players whose eligibility changes after the spring NFL draft, typically due to academic or disciplinary issues. It's a blind bidding silent auction where teams use future draft picks to secure players. Who is going to burn a future draft pick for Brendan Sorsby? That is my question.
Not a soul.
That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody goes like, oh, let's take a flyer on him. Are you willing to give up a future draft pick? I don't see how that would be worth it for an NFL team to take a risk on a guy that nobody even believes is playing legitimate games because of the gamble. I mean, it's the stink of the gambling. And this is the first time where you see something like this, Frank, that didn't lead to like arrests and stuff, right? I mean, this is an interesting storyline that I'm glad is finally put to bed.
It's put to bed, at least in the case of Brendan Sorsby. But again, I can't see this going away. And I told you this off air. There are two things that I see with this. One, The NCAA is not going to let this go because if the courts ruled this once, there's a chance that they could do it again. And I think it's very, very good that you got all of these conferences and even all of the teams in the conference that Texas Tech is in to become a part and to be on the same side in this. So I think that is something that is a rule or some sort of governance that all of the conferences can be aligned on, that if it's an eligibility issue because of gambling, no, I'm sorry, you're just done, number one. And number two, I think Sorsby, his legal counsel had to have gotten in his ear and said, listen, I understand that all 4 of these judges are from Lubbock, but you're going to lose this. You're not going to win this fight. So the best thing for you to do right now is declare for the supplemental draft and give NFL teams ample time to scout you. So you're not winning this. Just cut your losses now, I think is the second big thing about this, is that Sorsby knew he couldn't win, so he bailed, and that this is not going to go away anytime soon.
Correct. So here's the supplemental draft stuff, okay? For anybody that doesn't know, we talked about it before. Like, this is the extra draft that only opens up for players that lose their eligibility in between the time of the spring NFL draft and the college football season. So you want to, and this is usually academic ineligibility or, disciplinary actions. The last notable NFL supplemental draft pick came in 2019. It's 2026. It was Jalen Thompson. He was a 5th round pick for the Arizona Cardinals. 2012, Josh Gordon in the 2nd round. 2011, Terrell Pryor in the 3rd round. I mean, these are notable draft picks. There's not a lot of them that usually work out. These are the ones that have. 2007, San Diego Charger fans remember Paul Oliver. He was drafted in the supplemental draft. Jamal Williams, San Diego Charger fans know, back in 1998 was drafted in the supplemental draft. But to me, it's like, it's very rare. It's held in the summertime, usually in July. He had to apply by next Monday to be in it. And, I just don't see a lot of teams doing a bidding system. Like, it's almost like an auction draft.
Yeah.
So teams don't pick normally. They bid one of their future draft picks. So they pick a 3rd round pick on a player, and the team that offers the highest pick wins the player and forfeits that pick in the next regular draft. There's about 7 rounds, but usually only a few players are selected because teams are reluctant to give up future picks. So let me ask you this question, because everybody goes like, oh, somebody will take a waiver on him.
No.
Are you willing to give up a draft pick to take a waiver on a guy that got that got ruled ineligible originally before he appealed because he made 9,000 bets on college athletics, including games that involved teams that he was playing on?
No shot.
Think about how valuable draft picks are. Are you going to do that? I don't think so. Like, maybe a 7th round pick, but I think a lot of teams are going to throw a 7th round pick maybe out there. If you're going to need a 6th or a 5th round pick for this guy, there's other quarterbacks in next year's draft you could probably get. It just, I don't see that happening. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We'll get to your phone calls when we come back. We also need a contestant for a midday sports standoff. Talk more Padres baseball in the 1 o'clock hour as we continue to roll here on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number sports station, 97 through the Fan.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to iRacing. We are sitting here on pit road in the NASCAR Next Gen Chevrolet Camaro here at Naval Air Station Coronado, or the official circuit name, Qualcomm Circuit. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen a bunch of people doing laps around Qualcomm Circuit ever since it came out, but I've never really seen anyone do like a deep dive corner by corner and kind of go through what to expect out of this racetrack. So let's get out of pit road here. This car already on. Let's get rolling here. We are exiting pit road now. We're just passing through turn 1. Now, this downhill section on Tollway here, this has been a very big focal point for some of these drivers. Bubba Wallace said on podcast Door Bumper Clear recently that they're getting air here. 4 tires off the ground coming through here during their workouts on the sim. So it is going to be very, very crucial for these guys to get their cars set up right here. Left-hand turn onto Rogers Road, and we get that beautiful view of the USS Theodore Roosevelt that will be, I believe, the home base for the broadcast booth for Amazon Video come Sunday's race, well, come the entire weekend. You just saw those 2 bumps there. Those are going to be very, very crucial right in the braking zone for these cars. Another left-handed turn onto 2nd Street. And again, more bumping. You see it, you feel it, you'll really see it during the hot lap here. This corner here, you see how it starts to go flat, and now it's starting to kind of dip in a little bit once we get to these tracks here. That's called camber. So you go from a flat surface to where the road is sort of leaning, kind of helping you. And if you get that transition wrong, back end could very easily step out and you could end up backwards. Currently on Murray Avenue, coming down, this is one of the higher speed portions of the racetrack. Heavy on the binders coming into Carrier Corner here on Murray Avenue. This corner is deceptively long. It feels so short. It feels like you want to get on the throttle early, but if you do, you're going to be in some serious trouble. And now this is one of the longer straightaways that you'll find, but you'll also see right there more bumps coming in. This car is going to be jumping and thrown around all over the place down here. Now we start to get up towards the northern end of the highest part of the circuit here. This, you can see the entry to this corner is kind of blind. That Red Bull banner there over on the right-hand side is going to be very, very crucial for these drivers to pick out the braking zones. You see over my head here, the 3, the 2, the 1. Those are braking markers. Those are meter boards, so 300, 200, 100 meters before the corner. Can't see those on approach. Now, it's going to be different for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars and the trucks going through there. So those banners, those Red Bull banners on the right side are going to be very, very crucial. We're on one of the taxiways now, so we're officially off the street. You can see how narrow it is. This is also the part of the racetrack where it is street, barrier, San Diego Bay. So there's really no room for error here. It's very, very tight, very, very narrow as we get into the runway section of the racetrack, turning in very, very tight left-hander here onto a deceptively open right-handed turn. Now, the reason why I say it's deceptively open, because look at how much runoff area is here. In road racing, it's not necessarily about maximizing your full corner speed the way it is on ovals. It's about maximizing a chain of corners. That blue line that we just crossed over is the track limits. So you'll start getting penalties if you come out this far. Now, part of the reason why you don't want to necessarily use this much road is because look at how tight it makes this next upcoming corner here to be able to make it where cars on the inside can more or less straight line this and be able to get a lot more speed on you as compared to someone who goes all the way out. Now, this section of the racetrack here, this is going down into turn 12. This was supposed to be, when the track map was originally made, this was supposed to be just a straight line to turn 12. Drivers, when they got into the sim, made a suggestion that they come and make a chicane here, so that's exactly what they did. Where the hell is the chicane, you may be asking? Well, it's behind this wall here. You kind of have to just guess as to where the chicane is, and a lot of guys, especially in practice, are going to guess wrong, which is why you see that gap in the barriers so these guys don't completely just lose their race car off of one mistake. Here is turn 12 in question. This is also very difficult because you can see it goes up and then it just flattens right out. So that's going to be very, very difficult for these cars and these drivers to be able to figure out over the course of.
Cassie live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. The Braden Surprenant Show, setting us over at Sports Station 97.3, The Fan. If you're watching on YouTube, you got to see during the commercial break the test lap, if you will. Did you get the whole lap in there?
No, I did not. I
you gotta go fast. You gotta drive faster, dude.
I was trying to explain the lap and like what to be looking for at each corner and what's going on. I also did find out that you cannot put videos longer than 10 minutes into StreamYard. Found that out.
You can't do what?
You cannot put videos longer than 10 minutes into StreamYard.
Okay.
Because that was an 11.5-minute video. And I had to cut it down to just the go around, just like the in-depth look lap. And then the hot lap was after that. And I had to cut that out. So you can see it on the YouTube video that's out in full now.
YouTube.com/@B_SURP. Got a lot of good views on that one.
Yeah, we have so far. Very nice. Very, very excited. Very happy for that.
Yeah, should be fun. It's going to be a fun time out there at NASCAR. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I'll be back into Padres baseball in the 1 o'clock hour in just a little bit. Do want to get to a phone call, though. Dexter in Spring Valley. I know you're excited for NASCAR this weekend. What's going on, Dexter?
Hey, I am very excited for NASCAR. Like I said, I'm bummed I couldn't get ticks, but, it's when it's a first-time thing, I know there are a lot of curiosity people, and I'm glad because I'm hoping it'll grow the sport here in this part of the country. But I hate to break it to you, Braden. You're looking at this whole, is it Sorensen?
Sorsby.
Brandon Sorensen? Yeah, Sorsby. Thank you. You're looking at this whole situation kind of in a very narrow purview because, you're talking about the NFL and the supplemental draft, but shoot, this guy could be the next superstar for the, Birmingham Stallions, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the San Diego Strike Force. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just because he doesn't get it in the NFL, who's to say he can't play in another quote unquote professional football league?
Well, he totally could, but he's not going to make he's not going to make the $5 million that Texas Tech wanted to pay him.
Oh, he can always continue to gamble on himself.
Yeah, that's also
just
true.
Just saying.
That's also true.
So Padres.
Here's the other thing too, and I appreciate the phone call, Dexter. A guy I know was like, he was looking at this a different perspective too. Okay, let me ask you this question. I said, you know what? It might not be a bad idea for a league, except for the fact that, it could open a bigger can of worms. I am not saying this is what pro leagues should do, but this is what if you invented a league like this? What if this made like, this is the league that you do in the springtime? I'm just spitballing ideas here. What if there was a league where each team, the player on the team, every player on the team had to bet 10% of their contract, and the winner takes all? What do you think that league would be like? I mean, they here's the deal.
Interesting.
They do it in like adult softball, right? Like they used to have a lot of these tournaments where it would be like an entry fee of like $450 or, let's just say $100. Just to keep it simple. Entry fee of $100. And you could win, like, you put it all together and the winning team wins the pot. Like, what do you think that league would look like? Like, if you had to make, because that would technically be like betting on yourself, right? It's kind of the same thing? If you had an entry fee and the winner takes all, I mean, you're gambling money. It's an entry fee. But what if you had a league like that where you made these guys, have to bet 10% of their contract on every game on their team to win? It's part of the deal. You basically just come up with an entry fee for the game, and then the winning team gets the pot. How do you think that league would look like? Like, what would that? Because don't they do that for the basketball tournament? Don't they all like put an entry fee in, and the winning team gets like a ton of money? TBT, the basketball tournament, they have all these like ex college basketball players. They make a team.
I don't know. I do not know.
I think they do that. Never heard of the basketball tournament? It's the basketball tournament. I'm pretty sure they do you get like a cash prize. Winner takes home $2 million.
You never heard of the basketball tournament? That it's that thing. It's the basketball tournament.
I'm just saying, wouldn't you you're betting on yourself? If you had to make these, how do you think that would play out? I think it'd be interesting. I don't think the professional league should do that, but what if you had a league like that? So the basketball tournament, 14 teams, $2 million. Winner takes the money. They got, the Ville, a Louisville alumni team. They got a Kentucky alumni team, a Seton Hall alumni team, Kansas State alumni team. I mean, they got all these alumni teams that play in this tournament. It's like a full-in tournament. They got a little logo. They got a little team logo and stuff like that. Winning team, it's $2 million. It's the same as rewarding, the in-season tournament if they got raises about it. But what if they had to front the money for it? How do you think that, what do you think the level of play would be like?
What if you had to put money into a pot where you had to answer poorly thought up trivia questions?
You're not making the contestants do that, though. So.
That's right, folks. You, for free, can answer poorly thought up trivia questions for a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas.
We do need a contestant for a midday sports standoff. If you call in 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you call in and take me down in a sports trivia game, you will be qualified for a chance at our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Town & Country Resort and a $250 food and beverage credit. Work on your resting vacation face this summer at Town & Country Resort. 3 pools and a 4-story water slide. Named Twister, make Town & Country a family favorite. Rates start at $199 per night, exclusively for fan listeners. Visit townandcountry.com/fan to book now. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973.
Now with that segue out of the way.
Cool. What's the update in Senegal and France?
There's not one.
How are they playing? Haven't you been watching? You like to look up there and get some squirrel
I've been
moments.
working is what I've been doing.
Actually working today. That's great news.
Boy, listen, okay. You know what it's like over here.
I do, especially when you're posting a bunch of stuff.
Exactly.
Which Frank is extra excited about because most of it's NASCAR stuff.
Yes, and that NASCAR stuff got out in about 10 minutes.
That's because Trav Gundy in the YouTube chat was going to be on your ass if it wasn't out there.
Exactly.
So
exactly correct.
Take that for what it's worth. All right, let's talk more about the Padres for a second. And I want to dive into, we're in the 1 o'clock hour, we're going to reset some of the topics we talked about in the 10 o'clock hour. But interesting nugget out of Fernando in the Kevin AC newsletter. This is from his newsletter from today. Second base or not second base. Tatis ended Dustin May's bid for a perfect game by walking to lead off the 7th inning yesterday, which also extended his on-base streak to 9 games, during which he has been getting on at a 375 clip. That is exactly 2 points lower than the rate at which he's getting on base over the past 31 games. Why does Kevin AC put it via 31 games? Well, 31 games ago was what date? That would be May 12th, when Fernando essentially became the Padres' full-time second baseman. How about that, too, by the way? Remember when they first put him at second base and it was like, oh, we just, kind of an emergency, kind of want to see what he does. And we're like, oh, it's kind of cool. Maybe it gets him a home run or something like that. Did you ever think he was going to be the everyday starting second baseman? I mean, because right now you have to say he's kind of the everyday starting second baseman when he makes 25 starts at second of the last 30 games leading up to last night.
Yeah, I think he kind of has taken on that role. Now you don't really have a second baseman with Jake Cronenworth out. It's also, when it comes to trade deadline stuff, it's probably a little bit easier to get a corner outfielder in some way, shape, or form than a solid second baseman that can really put up power numbers. So yeah, I think for all intents and purposes, he's found a new home at second base.
Now that that's out of the way, because we've had, a couple of weeks ago, we had a hater in there that was just the biggest problem for the Padres was the fact that Fernando was playing second base.
Actually opens up more options for them.
And we were making the argument that was you do that so you can get an outfield, you can get an extra bat in the lineup, and the bats that were actually doing any type of damage were corner outfielder, corner infielder positions. That was the Ty Francis of the world. That was the Miguel Andujars of the world. At the time, it was, maybe they got to get Castellanos a couple more reps to see if he could get things going. That's why you did that. And we had people yet chirping about, it's like, this team would be so much better if they moved Fernando back to right field, even though there was no base or any type of backup to that argument. And we always looked at how funny it was, how much better he played in the infield from an offensive perspective than the outfield, right? And it was kind of hard to piece together because it seemed like it was just kind of a weird thing. It was just kind of a, what are the stat that John Boy throws out there, interesting stat, but it doesn't matter, whatever it is, an important stat that doesn't matter, an interesting stat that doesn't matter. I chalked that up as one of those. And in the first couple of games with Fernando playing at second base, it was like, oh, look, he's hitting really well. It could be kind of a fluke. But here are his numbers. There has been, this is a direct quote from the article, from the newsletter. There has been speculation, including by some in the organization, that part of the reason Tatis is hitting better is because he's back in the infield. As much as he has taken to right field, winning 2 platinum gloves, Tatis does, in his words, quote, love the dirt. This season, in 76 games, here are his splits for second base and right field. You ready for this? You want to play the one-off guess game?
Sure.
All right, so he's played 34 games at second. He's played 42 games in right field. If you had to guess what his averages might be in right field and at second base, what would they be?
Right field, 225. Second base, 380.
Pretty a little overzealous on that.
Well, I'm trying to get, all right. So 332.
That's pretty close. It's not one off though. Fernando has played 34 games at second base this season. He's hitting 349 with a 410 on base percentage, a 450 slug, which gives him an 859 OPS.
I was trying to average with right field being so low. I was trying to average to get it up to 280 where it is.
Correct. Now, if you played whatever, that pace right there, gives you, it's just a lot better of a pace that he's been on for. It's more standard to what you would see Fernando play at. In right field, Fernando's hitting 214 on the year with a 289 on base and a 250 slug. Not only has he moved back to the dirt, but Tatis also moved back to the leadoff spot on May 17th. And in that spot, he's batting 346, 393 with a 449 slug in the 117 plate appearances since that time. And in that span, he has gone 6 for 19 with a double and a walk in the 5 games in which he has played right field. So some of those numbers in the leadoff spot have skewed the right field results. I mean, if you want to include right field and non-leadoff spot and second base and leadoff spot only, the numbers are probably even better than what they are right now. Which goes back to our conversation that we had earlier in the show today about how you need to leave Fernando at second base and you need him to be the leadoff guy. And that's about it. I mean, it's honestly not really a question anymore of where Fernando should play and what spot in the order he should bat. And by the way, that leads to our next conversation. Is it easier to get a hitter that plays in the outfield, or is it easier to get a hitter that plays at second base, Frank? On the open market via trade,
get an outfielder.
It's easier to get an outfielder. Fernando playing second base and maybe being a long-term solution there. If he's going to produce like he has been producing at second base, which right now I wouldn't change a dang thing about it. That really opens you up to make a lot different roster moves that can improve this roster, and the Padres need this.
He's playing well. He's happy. Let the pony run.
We'll talk about the trade impact that this move has when we come back to start the 1 o'clock hour. San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 Fan.
We got tickets to give away for Padres and Braves coming up on Monday of next week. It's the Seager hat. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a cool time. It's going to be a fun time. We have 2 tickets to give away. Padres and Braves, June 22nd. First 40,000 fans will receive the free Padres Western Snapback hat. Grab tickets at at padres.com/tickets. You will have to answer a trivia question in this hour. Stay tuned to hear said trivia question. Be the first one to call in to answer said trivia question correctly. You will win the tickets. Okay. Now, let's go back to what we were just talking about. To be or not to be, as Kevin A.C. wrote in his newsletter.
He draws the foul.
Is that for Kevin or me? Both.
That's for Kevin. That's for you for repeating it. That's for Clay, who said it before in the chat.
It's for Adam for coming in here and bringing it up.
I already gave him the foul.
Oh.
I played it during, It didn't go over the air, but I already played it.
We got to carry that around with us. I wanted to use it this morning at football practice. Tell you what, living closer to the place you coach at makes life a whole hell of a lot easier when you wake up early in the morning. Let me tell you.
I think that movie has gotten more mileage on this show than it did when it actually premiered.
Fletch?
Yeah.
They have so many great lines in that movie. It's all ball bearings these days. Buenos dias, Pup and Taco. We'll have the steak sandwich, Bloody Mary and steak sandwich. Put it on the Underhill tab. Do you just want to add a bunch of Fletch drops to the deal? Play the music in the background.
I mean, personally, not because I'm not the biggest Chevy Chase fan in the world, but
I mean, he's not that great of a dude.
No, he's not.
I think that's been announced, but
pretty well established at this point.
Yeah, it's not great. Don't meet your heroes, kids.
Especially if his name is Chevy Chase.
Yeah, allegedly. I mean, based on reports and stuff.
I've seen some interviews where he's kind of a jerk for no reason at all.
No reason to be a jerk. You know? I've already gotten a text. So we're giving away tickets for Monday's game, right? My friend is dying to get the Padres hat, the Western hat. She has been reminding me once a week about getting tickets to that game. She just texted. She was like, "Do we have tickets for Monday yet?" Working on it. I mean, I have a credential. I could go on my own. I can go whenever I want.
You're going to be in so much trouble.
No, I'm going to get tickets. It's not crazy.
No, I'm just saying. You are going to be. If you don't get tickets, you are going to be in so much trouble.
You know, I got reminded by my roommate last night.
You are going to be dead.
I was like, "Yeah, we're giving away tickets this week for the Monday deal." He's like, "Did you get tickets yet?" Because she's been talking about it for like the last 5 weeks, dude. On it. Working on it. I will be at that game in some capacity.
You need to see in some capacity, single or taken.
Either the press box with you or in some seats.
Oh, yeah. God.
Got to get the hat, dude. She wants the hat.
If it's in the press box, then I know he's single.
That's funny. Definitely not. All right. Let's move forward here on the Padres thing. Let's get back to what we were talking about with Fernando. So to be or not to be, as Kevin A.C. put, we're having a foul out Friday on a Tuesday because we have tomorrow off. So it kind of counts as our foul out Friday.
And we come back for Thursday. That's it.
So Tatis has been playing a lot better at second base than he has been in right field, at least on the offensive side. And at this point, like, can we say it's a thing? With the sample size that we have now gotten in his career and now in this season, is it enough sample size to say that this is the right path moving forward? I think it is. I mean, it's noticeably different in both the splits from this season and his career splits, that when he plays at second base, or should I say when he plays in the infield, he is statistically a better hitter at this point. Now, whether or not he hits more home runs, I mean, he's got 2 at second base. He's got 0 in right field this year. I don't know if that really matters at this point in time, but because he's been hitting a lot better, he's batting in the leadoff spot again. But what this does for the Padres moving forward, and I'm going to reiterate what we talked about in the 10 o'clock hour. This is a team, as we mentioned, this is a team that made the decision about being buyers for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years at the deadline. They made that decision when they gave Xander Bogaerts a contract, when they extended Jackson Merrill and bought him out of arbitration years, when they extended Manny Machado. They had made the decision, this is what we're going to do. And we talked about that in the 10 o'clock hour. That is the team that they are. I don't think it is a bad idea. And as I mentioned in the first hour of the show, and I will ask the question again for a new audience here, which team would you rather be? Team A or Team B? And I'm going to preface this by saying neither of them is guaranteed to win a World Series. In fact, I'm going to make it even simpler. Both teams in this particular scenario are not going to win one. To eliminate the whole, well, I'm going to take the path that gives me the option for a World Series. Okay, so just for case in point, both teams are going to have the exact same results. Which team would you rather have? Would you rather have the team that's got guys on long-term contracts that are star names and keeps the team relevant? Or would you rather have the team be very youthful, exciting players, but every 2 years, maybe 3 years, you have a brand new team because you cannot keep these players? Both option A and B are going to give you the exact same result. I asked Frank this question, and what did Frank say this morning?
I want the Stars.
I'll take the Stars. I will say the exact same thing. I will take the Stars. I will take the Stars every single time over the young, fun players that I don't get to keep. Okay? I think a lot of people like the option of, oh, the young stuff. People like the option that they don't currently have. They like the option that they currently don't have. And right now, the Padres fans don't have the young, exciting prospects that come up and the young youth and not having guys under massive contracts, right? That's what they currently don't have. What do they have now? They got aging stars on long-term deals. What did everybody want 5 years prior to that, Frank?
Wanted the Stars.
We need a star. We need a big contract guy. Everybody wants what they don't have. Even when what you have is probably not the worst. You don't know what you got until it's gone. I mean, I know what the Padres had from 2010 to 2019 or 2018. That wasn't that great of a time. Now, I'm not comparing the 2010s Padres to the current Padres. I am comparing the Padres' way of doing things versus the Rays' way of doing things. And what the Rays do, kind of what the Brewers do, they have young players, but they don't keep them because they understand the value of, look, once they get older, you're going to have to pay them for what they did and not what they're going to do. We will just reload with somebody else that's new, but you lose the fan favorite. That's one way of doing it. But you know what both the Brewers, the Rays, or all three of what the Brewers, the Rays, and the Padres have in common? No World Series. So it's like it does it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. To me, I would take the Stars. So if you establish that is going to be the way that you build your team, which is what they did, and everybody was fine with it at the time that they signed these deals, I will say the only pushback that I think the Padres might have received from fans was when they signed Xander Bogaerts, because it didn't make any sense for them at the time when you had you had shortstop already. I know they were coming off of 2022. It's like it felt like they needed to do something, even though they probably didn't have to just do something. I get it. But it wasn't everybody. Like, not everybody was like upset about Xander Bogaerts signing as a Padre. And I like having Xander Bogaerts on the team. At the time, my initial reaction was, this is good if you win during the years that he is on the team, because that end of the contract's not going to be good. But that's the cost of doing business if you want those players. And that's the cost of doing business if you want to keep those players, if you develop the young players. But as much as people go like, oh, youth wins, who's won the last 2 World Series? I know not a lot of people want to hear that. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. What do the Los Angeles Dodgers have on their team? They have a couple of good young players, right? They got a couple of young guys. They got a lot of old players on their team, too. They got a lot of veteran players on their team. I'm sure it kind of balances out with maybe some of their bullpen players and what have you, but when you look at their core players, a lot of them are over the age of 30, are they not? Shohei Ohtani's in his prime right now. Okay, just go down the list. Blake Snell's 33 and a half. I know he's not playing right now. He's 33 and a half years old. Mookie Betts, 33 years old. Freddie Freeman, 36 years old. Edwin Diaz, 32 years old. Teoscar Hernandez, 33 years old. I mean, these are players that are in that age range that everybody freaks out about when you talk about the Padres players. Tommy Edmonds, 31 years old. Tanner Scott, 32 years old. Blake Trinan's 38 years old. Max Muncy is 35 years old. He's going to be 36 this year. Max Muncy's actually playing well. I'm not even a Max Muncy fan. Evan Phillips is 31. Miguel Rojas had a pretty big, important at-bat in the World Series last year. He's 37. Kike Hernandez is 34. I mean, these guys have players that are older. And guess who they just picked up? Eric Lauer, he's 31. Brock Stewart, 34 years old. Alex Call's 31, even though he just came up recently. Yes, they have a couple of players that are young too. Like, you can't say that they don't. But right now, some of those young, like Roki Sasaki really helping this team out right now, Frank? Not really. So their stuff is slightly different because of the fact that they can do a little bit of both, and they got a lot of money to spend and what have you. But let's go back to the Padres. They are we spent money on stars. This is our long-term contracts. Okay? We're going to be the star team. And in order to keep that machine going, you have to keep that machine going until the player is about 36, 37 years old, and he really starts to decrease his production via age. When that happens to Manny and to Xander, yes, you can have the conversation of it might be time to start restocking the farm system and getting some more youth here because they're going to have to compensate for the amount of money that we have spent. This is not that team. This is not that year. And it doesn't even it doesn't matter how well they may or may not be performing during this time frame, because you signed them at whatever, their age 30, maybe 28, 29 years old when you signed these guys. You had to go from ages 28 to 36. Those are the years that you're expecting these players, in particular your 2 top stars, because your other 2 guys are younger, to really be the centerpiece of this team. Those are the years you go after it, unless you turn into the San Francisco Giants. And last time I checked, the Padres are not 9 games out of a wild card spot, and they're not 17 games or whatever it is out of a division race. They are right there in the middle of the wild card race, which means you are a buyer at the deadline. And as long as they are a part of that conversation, this is the decision that you have already made. And what I'm trying to explain to a lot of people are, you can't just constantly be changing your moves back and forth. You have to stick to a plan, and this is the plan that the Padres have. That's why they're linked to a lot of names. That's why the rumor out there with the brand new ownership is the fact that they are going to potentially, or they are willing to take on payroll. Because the Padres understand that they have to improve this roster for this season. And the other thing that you have to understand with this roster is with aging players, which I don't think are lack of production because of their age yet, because we've talked about those metrics over and over again on the show. That's not what these signs show. But with aging players, that eventually is going to happen. And when that happens, that is when you make these, that's when you decide to pivot and go to the next the next type of plan. But until then, what you cannot do is you cannot sell massively to get to the youth movement when you have a little bit of it, when you're right there in the middle of a wild card race. You can't punt on those years because there's no guarantee that next year it's going to be better. I mean, this is what we talked about last season. We said it last year at the deadline, and we said it the year before. What was the argument in 2024? Do you remember, Frank? 2024. I remember a guest coming in studio and saying, there is no way this team should be buying at the deadline. And the argument I had was, okay, well, there's no guarantee that the next year or the year after that, things are going to be better. You are in a playoff spot. You are in a playoff race right now. And what did the Padres do? What did they do in 2024? Did they buy or sell at the deadline?
They bought.
They bought. And I know this is not worthy of hanging a banner, but that was the same year that in September and August and September, what were Padre fans saying about the Pods? This team can do what?
This team can win a World Series.
This team can win a World Series. And then you had 2025 happen, right? Again, 2025 seemed like it was a little bit less than what, I mean, it was in terms of wins and losses, in terms of results. There's no guarantee that next year will even be better if you decided to sell. So just because the Padres have a bad game against the Cardinals, they've had bad stretches, if they come close to August 3rd and they're in a wild card spot with the lineup with the roster they currently have, they have to be able to buy and add to this team and fix a lot of problems. And that's why you see AJ Preller making conversations happen behind the scenes. That's why you're seeing these reports about Tarek Skubal and John Heyman talking about Sandy Alcantara. He might be able to fit with the Padres and this and that. It's because they have to do it with this roster. You want to make things worse, you punt. That's what makes this thing worse. But I don't think they're going to do that. I really don't. And you know what makes it easier? You just got a second baseman now that can hit. And you don't find those guys growing on trees too many times. And Fernando permanently moving to second base opens up the doors for a lot of options in the outfield and a lot of options to open up a bat spot. And I want to say this before we go to break, as I mentioned in the first hour. Despite everything I just said, anybody that's not Ethan Salas should be willing to move. You should be willing to move. The only player that I don't think you should ever trade right now because you are now invested in this guy is Ethan Salas. And that's it. And there is no player on this planet right now that I think is going to be worth trading Ethan Salas for. And there's especially not a rental that's worth trading Ethan Salas for, in my opinion. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Padres lineup tonight, continue our Padres conversation, and stay tuned for a trivia question in the next segment, because if you're the first one to call in and answer it correctly, you will win 2 tickets to next Monday's game. Still a lot to get to here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting us over at Sports Station 97.2, that's Fan. Chicago Bears may have just made their biggest stadium move yet. The organization announced it is advancing plans for a potential stadium project in Hammond, Indiana, just days after Illinois lawmakers failed to approve legislation that could help support a new stadium deal. But before fans panicked, Bears haven't officially left Illinois. This looks more like a pressure tactic than a final decision. The reality is, Bears fans are tired of hearing about stadium politics. They have finally have excitement around head coach Ben Johnson, quarterback Caleb Williams, yet the conversation keeps turning to where the team will play. Many fans also worry a new stadium means higher ticket prices, expensive personal seat licenses, and being priced out altogether. Arlington Heights still feels like the most logical long-term solution. Bears already own the land, and most season ticket holders live closer to that site. So is Hammond the future, or is it simply leverage in the latest chapter of NFL's longest-running stadium drama? One thing is certain, though, Bears fans want answers, and they want this story to end. Just when it looked like the Chicago Bears stadium saga couldn't get any more complicated, the franchise dropped another major twist. After years of discussions involving Arlington Heights, downtown Chicago's Soldier Field renovations, public funding debates, and political gridlock, the Bears have now officially voted to advance a stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana. Now, before anyone starts printing Indiana Bears merchandise, it's important to understand what this really means. The Bears aren't officially leaving Illinois, but they are sending a very clear message to Illinois lawmakers. If you can't help us get a stadium deal done, we have alternatives.
Yeah, after 6 years of stadium drama, this is what many fans are just simply exhausted. As you said, less than a week after Illinois lawmakers failed to pass legislation that could help support a new stadium project, the Bears announced their board of directors had voted to advance discussions on potential development in Hammond, Indiana. The move immediately created headlines throughout the Midwest. On the surface, it sounded dramatic. The Bears potentially leaving Illinois after more than 100 years. It's a massive story, but the reality is a lot more nuanced, as reality most often is. The organization stressed that the discussions with Illinois lawmakers are still ongoing, while simultaneously highlighting Indiana as a viable option. So in other words, it feels less like a final decision and more like a high stakes negotiation tactic. The Bears are saying effectively, help us build what we want in Indiana, or we have found somewhere else to go.
In Illinois, or we'll go to Indiana. My thing is, and this is obviously hits home here in San Diego because of the fact that we lost an NFL team. And I was at the point of, we got to do whatever it takes to keep the NFL here in San Diego. But I think San Diego is the first of a lot of cities to be like, you want a stadium, build it yourself. And you see that in California. Like, not a single stadium in California is getting built anymore unless it is privately funded. The days of like public funding for stadiums in California are gone. In most parts of the country where taxes are not as high in terms of like, state income tax, if that doesn't exist, or like the way taxes are, people are more inclined to pay a couple additional, dollars per to make sure that they have a brand new stadium in their city and they keep their team. But when you are in states like Illinois, like California, like New York, that have these high state income taxes, people are less inclined to do that. And I think that's why you're in the same position right now as the Chargers were in of, you know what? The city's like, we don't want to build you a stadium. You guys are a multi-billionaire, $1 billion organization that's backed by a super multi-billionaire corporation in the National Football League. They should be able to build and improve upon their own stadiums. I think the days of this, fans catering and taxpayers catering to these NFL franchises are now gone. And I think the Bears are trying to leverage a better situation for themselves, because at the end of the day, they already own land in an area. They could build their own stadium in Arlington Heights and just call it a day. They want it for free. They don't want to spend as much money. And this is where the problem is. And I think using taxpayers as pawns is gross on a lot of different levels. And I hope the people of Chicago basically go like, build your own stadium, because the leverage, again, is on, I think, the taxpayer side. Where are they going to go? Like, they're going to go to Indiana. They're still going to be called the Chicago Bears. I mean, that's where all their marketing is and everything. It's just outside the city of Chicago. I mean, sure, fans have to drive a little bit further if they want to go to a game, but games are so expensive now, Frank, that you're only really going to like one a year anyway. And the ones that do have the money to be able to go to all the games that pay for season tickets, they're going to drive to wherever it is. That is over on Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. We got a lineup for the Padres. New lineup is out for the Padres today. 5 cents for Scraby. Every time.
Trying to do 5 different things here. Hold on.
Hey, he still gets the 5 cents, though.
Oh, he does.
I don't know where he comes from, but it's not your pocket.
Well, no, again, he steals one of our sounders he steals our music beds all the time, so it's a wash.
I can't wait for you to send him the invoice of our music beds. This is what you got to do. You got to send an invoice that has like all the times we use the lineup sounder at 5 cents each, and then throw in the times that he's used our beds, and just make it cancel out so it's 0, and just hand him the thing like a nonprofit. Let's get to today's starting lineup for the San Diego Padres. Leading things off and playing second base, Fernando Tatis Jr. Batting second and in center field is Jackson Merrill. Batting third and at third base, Manny Machado. Xander Bogaerts gets the start at shortstop. Again, he will bat cleanup tonight for the Padres. Gavin Sheets bats fifth, plays left field. Samad Taylor bats sixth, plays right field. Ty France bats seventh. He will play first base. Will Wagner is the designated hitter. He will bat eighth. Rodolfo Duran is going to get a lot of playing time right now, obviously, with Freddie Fermin on the 7-day concussion list. He starts again today at catcher, and he bats ninth for Michael King, today's starting pitcher for the San Diego Padres. Padres trying to bounce back here in game 2 of the 3-game series. Good to see Samad Taylor back in the lineup, Frank.
Yeah, as we've said, as the conductor of the Samad Taylor hype train, the fact that he's got 8 RBIs and he's only been in the major leagues a week. Yeah. Keep that boy in the lineup as much as you possibly can. He has been very, very good for this team. Keep him in the lineup.
How did your riot go yesterday? Did you get anybody else to show up?
No.
Nobody showed up? Did you bring extra pitchforks?
I did. I brought pitchforks. I brought picket signs. I brought everything.
Did you have torches too, or I guess that's angry mob?
Yeah, no, we're not going for angry mob.
What's the difference between an angry mob and a riot? Is that the same thing? You're thinking about this too much, which makes me feel like you have done both of these things again. Not enough torches, Frank. If you would have had more torches, Augie in the YouTube chat would have showed up.
After the Met game last night, I was ready to be a human torch.
Oh, no. What happened in the Mets game last night?
They lost.
Well, that kind of happens a lot. We haven't had a Mets crash out in a while.
12-0.
12-0.
Cincinnati.
Ooh. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, I saw.
Even the Padres beat the Reds, dude.
So this was my turn on MLB.com last night. It's like, well, let's see what the Mets are doing. Oh, let's see what the Padres are doing.
Oh,
perfect game. Oh boy. Oh,
and ladies and gentlemen, this is why Frank is not allowed to watch during the week. This is why he says, not my week to watch them, because when it is his week to watch them, it doesn't end well.
Nope. It does not.
So you better hope that most of the time it's not his week to watch. You better hope it's not his week to watch. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973.
Actually, Smash just said it. Met fans are Knicks fans. They're happy. No. Actually, we're very, very mad at the Knicks right now because they won too quickly, which means we're back to watching the Mets again, which is killing us.
Yankees Knicks fans are having a great week.
Shut up.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you are the first one to call in and tell us what the mascot's name is, you know what? I'll say it this. If you're the first one to call in, you know what? Because legalities, it might, I was going to go a certain direction with that, but I'm not going to. If you're the first one to call in and tell us the name of the Atlanta Braves mascot, you will win 2 tickets to Padres and Braves. You will not see said mascot there unless they travel, which I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't travel. It's also Frank's favorite mascot. First one to call in, tell us that. You will win tickets to Padres and Braves as we go to break. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Summer Sports Station 97 to the Fan. The MLB trade deadline is getting closer, and one trend is becoming crystal clear. Prospects are going to drive this market. Teams like the Yankees, Dodgers, Blue Jays, Orioles, and Rays all have elite farm systems and the prospect capital to chase big names. But here's the question. Are teams willing to actually move those prospects? We're hearing names like Spencer Jones from San Diego, Jordan Lawler, Creed Williams, Gage Wood, and Josue De Paula being connected to potential deadline conversations. At the same time, veterans like Casey Mize, Joe Ryan, Sandy Alcantara, Luisa Rise, and Aroldis Chapman could become available if their teams decide to pivot. This year's deadline may not only be defined by one blockbuster trade, it could be defined by which contender is finally willing to sacrifice its future for a chance to win right now. And if history tells us anything, the teams willing to take that risk are often the ones still playing deep into October. With the MLB trade deadline just under 2 months away, front offices across baseball starting to begin to identify what assets they're willing to move and what needs they're hoping to address.
Yeah, every contender is evaluating ways to improve, and every team has at least one player, prospect, or veteran who could become a key piece of the deadline puzzle. As we move towards August 3rd, the biggest stories isn't necessarily who is available, it's how aggressive teams are willing to be going into this deadline. And right now, the trend emerging around baseball is that many contenders may prefer to deal from their farm system rather than move established major league talent.
Yeah, prospect capital could rule this deadline for sure. But let's talk about the Tigers, because they kind of continue to hold all the keys here because they have the number one player that could be available at the trade deadline in Tarek Skubal. And last week, there was a lot of discussion about Tarek Skubal. This week, another Detroit name has entered the spotlight. Former number one overall pick, Casey Mize, putting together the best season of his career, could become one of the most attractive starting pitchers available if the Tigers decide to sell. And for contenders looking for rotation help, Mize offers playoff upside without necessarily requiring a massive prospect package Skubal would command, which means Detroit could potentially control the pitching market with two of the biggest names available. And if they continue to sit near the bottom of the American League Central, which is not a good division, Frank, they could potentially put other names out there as well. Like I've seen Riley Green's name pop up a couple of times.
Yeah, absolutely. And Flaherty is also there in that starting rotation. They just signed Framber Valdez. How willing would they be to move him? So there are a lot of names. Kerry Carpenter, I think, still has a couple years of control left under him. Big power hitter Spencer Torkelson's in the same boat. So it's very interesting to see how much or how committed Detroit could be to a complete and total teardown if things were to get that far.
Yeah, and not every team knows whether they should buy or sell still because of the fact that even though the American League is not very good, a lot of teams are still alive in playoff contention because nobody's really running away from it in terms of the wild card. I mean, Minnesota's Joe Ryan could be one of the most sought after pitchers on the market if the Twins slide out of contention. Houston's Jeremy Pena is another fascinating possibility. Should the Astros continue to struggle in Miami? I mean, Miami's had a great month of June, but Sandy Alcantara remains a name that refuses to disappear from trade rumors. Despite years of speculation, rival executives continue to view him as one of the most valuable arms potentially available. The challenge for these organizations is balancing the future against the possibility that they're only a hot streak away from playoff contention.
Yeah, and there are some surprising names that are being brought up in this trade deadline. One of the most interesting aspects of the year's deadline chatter is the caliber of players that are being discussed. The Nationals have talked about trading C.J. Abrams, who is having an all-star level season and still has years of control remaining. Arizona's Jordan Lawler remains one of the best young talented prospects in baseball. The Giants could potentially move three-time batting champion Luisa Rise, who's on a short-term deal. These aren't your typical deadline rentals. They are the types of player who can reshape franchises, making them especially intriguing if negotiations become serious. And I'll tell you what, I'm sure Padre fans will be very happy to get C.J. Abrams back. But of those guys, and I know it's hard because you're in the division, Jordan Lawler is probably the biggest name on that list that we just brought up that would perk my ears the most.
Here's what perked my ears. We saw this report earlier this week, but bullpen arms could be premium assets. Every postseason race eventually becomes a race for relief pitching. Veteran closer Aroldis Chapman continues to dominate in Boston and could become one of the most coveted relievers available if the Red Sox decide to sell. Cardinals' Jojo Romero is drawing interest around the league. San Diego's Yuki Matsui has quietly been excellent and could become an attractive option to player if the Padres look to create payroll flexibility. History tells us that bullpen often becomes the most expensive commodity in July, and 2026 appears no different. If that's the case, Frank, I mean, Padres could be moving some things around a little bit, a little sell, a little buy.
Save some money for the fans on the spaceship they have to buy to get Yuki Matsui out of here for sure. Next, we'll go to big market teams. Again, big market teams. The Dodgers, Yankees.
Big spenders.
Dodgers, Yankees, Phillies, Braves.
It actually took us a couple answers today to get to our trivia question result. Going to break, we asked the question of what is the name of the Atlanta Braves mascot? Winner got to get 2 tickets to next Monday's game, Padres and Braves, for the Western hat for the Padres. I'll be in attendance for that.
You better be in attendance
apparently.
for that.
What was the answer and who won?
Chad in Lemon Grove was your winner of the tickets today, and he guessed the correct answer of Blooper.
Blooper. His name is Blooper. Top 5. Pretty good mascot.
I love that Muppet.
That's your favorite mascot. The funniest thing is your favorite mascot is the Braves mascot.
Yep.
What's your opinion about the Fanatic?
Not a fan of the Fanatic.
Not a fan of the Fanatic.
Mm-mm.
What about...
I respect the legacy of the Fanatic. I'm not a fan of the Fanatic.
Why don't you like the Fanatic?
Philadelphia.
Well, let's throw the Philadelphia part out of there. Is there anything the Fanatic does that bothers you aside from wearing a Phillies jersey?
No.
Nope. If he wasn't wearing a Phillies jersey, would you think it's funny?
Fanatic.
You would like the
be
Fanatic.
fine
With the Fanatic,
yes.
but Blooper wears a Braves jersey.
Blooper also has several existential crises a week and posts about it, which I identify with.
The self-deprecation?
Well, no, just him in an empty ballpark laying on the dugout in the rain. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny.
Him doing snow angels in center field during the winter. Him just standing out at second base, staring at the sun in the middle of the day. That's gold.
I have seen an upset dinger in a hallway that gets posted when the Rockies lose sometimes.
Yes.
It's pretty funny.
Did you see the Rockies final, or it was the Pirates, I believe, their final score tweet from a couple days ago? They lost like 12-3.
I've seen a couple of funny ones this year. I can't remember if it was the Pirates one, so I'm going to say no.
The Pirates one was like final. Don't bother.
Don't bother.
It was something along those lines. It's like, don't even bother.
I will say a lot of these like professional social media accounts have gotten funny.
Yeah, they're getting great. Yeah,
they're getting
great.
Creative. It's great. I mean, that's what you have to do. I mean, you got to appease a lot of people, and you got to kind of match the non-toxic comedy that is on social media sometimes. Somebody asked in the YouTube chat, she gets Super Frog on the show. Can mascots talk?
No.
I don't think so.
No,
did I tell you the story about one of our, when I was working at TCU football, one of our video guys had a roommate like on the trip, right? So you get like assigned rooms, and there was a name he got assigned with that he had never heard of before. Some guy, right?
Yeah.
And so when you get to the hotel, right, you go and they have all of your hotel room keys like on a table when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
You find your name, you grab it. His roommate for the trip had already grabbed his card, and he had already gone up to the room. So our video guy scans his little card, goes into the room. Roommate's not there, but his stuff's there. It's fine, whatever. And so he's going to get ready before we have to do some, set up meeting rooms, all this other stuff. So he goes to like put something in the closet. And guess what's in the closet?
It's the mascot suit.
It's the Super Frog suit. So he comes back down to the meeting rooms because we have to set them up for film and all that other stuff. Yeah. And he was like, I figured out who my roommate is. And we're like, who is it? And then he was like, Super Frog's my roommate. His suit's in the closet. Could you imagine you check in a hotel room for the trip? Like, no, I have no idea who his roommate is because it's like by that time it was like midway through the season. We already knew who you already know who's like in the athletic department that on the traveling parties.
I would go,
and he had been there for 4. This was like his 4th season with the team. Nobody had any idea whose name it was, and he literally he's like getting ready, whatever. Opens the closet. It's just the empty Super Frog suit, with his like large noggin. Just in the closet.
Depending on when the trip was, like if it was the last game of the season, like the last road game of the season, I definitely would have gone to your room dressed in the suit and said, found out who my roommate was.
Yeah.
Here I am.
He would have been like, hey.
Found out where it is. Found out who it is. It was the game on June 9th. For the Pirates, it was final. We'll spare you the details.
We will spare you the details.
I think they lost 12-3 to the Dodgers that day.
What was the Mets' final tweet from last night?
Oh God, I have no idea. The Mets haven't really gotten creative with that stuff.
Here's my opinion. Here's my question, and I don't know this answer because I'm not a social media person for a Major League Baseball team. Are they contractually obligated to put out the final score? Or is this just like a funny bit? Like if the team gets smoked, like, do they have to put it out there? What's going to get more heat? A team that doesn't put out their final score when they get their asses handed to them? A team that does, but limits who can comment on it? Or still putting it out after you had an embarrassing loss and having to deal with all the notifications of potential other fans just like blowing up the final score graph?
That sounds like a fantastic question for Monday night. For going to the game on Monday night and finding the Padres social media person and asking, do you have to do this?
I'm curious if they actually have to do that or not. Have you ever seen a team not put out their final score? Like, are people following them on social media to actually find out if their team won or not?
I do not know.
I get, like, before it like made kind of sense. Like, it's an easy way to do, but now with just all this information, notifications getting sent to you, like, do you really need to post the final score on social media? Oh, always?
By the way, that game for the Pirates, it started off so well. Brian Reynolds and Ryan O'Hearn hit back-to-back home runs in the first inning. Dodgers came back in the second, scored a run in the 6th, and then the Dodgers put up 10 runs in the 7th.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I had that game on in the background on MLB Big Inning or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing stuff around the place and or my place, and I heard whoever it was hosting Big Inning. And that will finally end the 7th inning for the Dodgers. And I was like, oh, Lord, I wonder how many runs they scored. And then you looked at the score and you're like, wow.
Oof.
Yeah, major oof.
Oof size large.
Major oof. Okay, let's get back to this Padres conversation here as we get ready for the Padres game tonight. And, Michael King against Andre Palante. Palante's got a 3.88 ERA. Michael King, 3.46. Palante, one of the better pitchers for the Cardinals. Not the best. I think his high school teammate in McGreevy is probably better, but Palante's still a good pitcher. Hopefully he doesn't light up the Padres like Dustin May did yesterday, but the Padres got to get after it early and often. And I think it was funny. We mentioned that stat, and I've been paying attention now. a little bit more after the Rays broadcast put out the stat about how 75% of Major League Baseball games, the winning team scores more runs in one inning than the team that loses scores in the entire game. That played out a couple of times this weekend, played out again last night. I mean, if those are part of the equation, and the fact that the Padres, when they score first, are now, I think, 22-8, Padres got to try to get on Andre Palante early in the contest if they want to win tonight's game, because the Padres failed to get into an already taxed bullpen that the Cardinals had last night. And now with the full day of rest for everybody in that bullpen, that no longer becomes a valuable advantage to the Padres for the next two games. So we'll see what goes on tonight with the Padres and going against St. Louis in the Andre Palante matchup, if you will. Padres, again, offensively last night, not very good. We talked about the comparison between, Tatis at second base versus right field. We talked about Merrill's robberies becoming routine, highlight real defense, masking some offensive woes that he might have. But, 8th shutout of the season for the Padres offense. I mean, has been better lately, but, last night, again, exposed the problem that the Padres have had. And I don't know how many times we could continue to go on with what happened last night, or with Padres having a good bounce back where you think things are going to break through, and then another just dud again last night. This is a very important game tonight and a very important series throughout the next couple of days, Frank.
No, it certainly is. And you go into this weekend against the Texas Rangers, who are also fighting for a playoff spot in the wild card race, at least in the American League West. So it is very, very important to be able to bounce back here. You have Michael King, who has more or less been your stopper, and then tomorrow's kind of up in the air, kind of a question still. Don't know whether or not you're going to get, this should be Walker Buehler's turn.
I think it's Griffin Canning's turn. That's why.
Oh, yes.
That's why there was going to be potentially an opener again on Wednesday. That's why it's still to be determined.
Yes. So you don't know whether or not you're going to get an opener again. You don't know whether or not you're going to get Griffin Canning again. It's looking good for an opener. You only used, 3 pitchers yesterday? And they said, I believe, if I remember correctly, they said it would depend on how bullpen usage worked out over the first 2 games of the series. So don't yet know how that's going to work. It really depends on tonight, but it is crucial to win these next 2 games.
Yeah, they have. Well, because here's another thing too. We talked about the standings.
Tiebreaker.
I mean, it's just, you got to have a couple of tiebreakers in your back pocket. Now, the odds of tying some of these teams is rare, but if you're the Padres, you don't want to get yourself in a position where you're looking at, okay, now our only spot is to play on the road in the wild card like they did last year. It'd be nice to get some home playoff games at the end of the season, and it might not seem like that is overly important when we're talking about it on June 16th, but if you look at the standings right now, and there isn't really a lot of belief that it's going to be a lot of other teams part of this equation in the wild card. But right now, the Padres have that final wild card spot. The Phillies are in front of them, who, I don't know, swept the Padres in 6 games this year. And the Cardinals are in front of them. Right now, the Cardinals have a 1-game advantage on the season series. This only ends in an advantage either way. They can't split because they already split in the 4 games at Petco Park. So this is a very important win for the Padres to, at least in the next game tomorrow, be an opportunity to have a tiebreaker against some teams you're competing with in the wild card. But as you look at the teams that are in contention right now for a wild card spot, Padres currently losing the season series against St. Louis, have lost the season series against Philadelphia, losing the season series to Washington after losing 2 out of 3 in our nation's capital, losing the series against the Chicago Cubs. They're split with the Diamondbacks right now, 1-1. Haven't played the Marlins yet. You have to go all the way down to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are a game under 500 for a team that you're currently leading the season series on. So, I mean, these games start to become important a little bit more as the season goes on, and National League games are ever more so important because of tiebreakers and dealing with these teams in the postseason. I mean, beating the American League's great. I mean, the Padres have beaten up on American League teams this year again, like they did last year. But the reality is, it's like you don't get anything extra for that. It doesn't really help you that much. In terms of that's like the least. You're not getting any tiebreakers to the American League record that you have, and the Padres are 16-8 against the American League. That's one of the better records in the National League against American League teams, but that doesn't do you anything, Frank. You don't get any extra credit for that. That's just kind of like extra games that fill out the schedule.
No, exactly right. And for the Cubs, at least you have a chance to rectify that coming up at the end of the month when you go to Chicago. But yeah, it's very, very crucial that you start picking up some of these season series against teams, especially that you know are, if they're not in the hunt to win the division, are going to be in the playoff hunt or the wild card hunt.
We got a couple of minutes left. We got some bold predictions. Last night's bold prediction was not very good. I said Song would get 3 hits. We only had one player get 1 hit anyway. Michael King goes 7 innings. That'll be my bold prediction. I'm going to save the bullpen a little bit.
Okay.
And hopefully the offense. If I'm just going to start cursing, guys, I really don't want to curse Michael King. But picking 3 hits out of 1 player yesterday and only getting 1 player to get 1 hit, I'll stay off the offense. We'll let the offense cook this today. Maybe the pitching staff has to save Michael King, but I'm going to go Michael King goes 7. Did he go 7 in his last outing, or did he get pulled in the 7th inning?
I think he got pulled in the 7th. You know what? I'm conducting this hype train.
Samad Taylor?
I'm going to go 2 hits for Samad.
2 more hits for Samad after a day off.
Base hit.
With an extra base hit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was your bold prediction yesterday?
2 innings and 3 strikeouts for Wandy Peralta.
I warned you they were only going to keep him in for 1.
Well, I thought plans would change because you have to be malleable in these situations, and yeah.
Michael King went 7 innings once this year. It was against the Dodgers, shutout baseball. Since that 7 innings where he shut out the Dodgers, he has gone 3 2/3, 4 earned runs, 6 innings, 5 earned runs, 6 innings, 4 earned runs, 6 2/3, 3 runs. I'm going 7 innings again for Michael King. I think he gives up 2 runs. Be an improvement.
Augie's got bold prediction. Ty France, 2 for 4, 2 homers, 5 ribbies.
That is a bold prediction. Okay.
Fridge watcher.
2+
Padres,
hits. You know what? The way things have been trending right now, I mean, that's not that crazy.
Living on the edge, boys.
France about to knock off Senegal?
Yes, 2-0. Current score, Kylian Mbappe in the 66th, Bradley Barcola in the 82nd minute at New York, New Jersey Stadium. And definitely not MetLife.
That stuff is
completely different.
It's so extra. It's so ridiculous.
Completely different place.
It's so ridiculous.
So yeah, they're in the 90th minute right now. So it looks like France is about to take the edge in Group I.
France leading at 2-0, 2-0. We'll have you updated with World Cup coverage in our next show. Our next show is jam-packed with a lot of guests.
What's it called?
World Cup coverage.
World Cup date.
Well, Drake will have our World Cup date on Thursday's show. We will also have some more NASCAR talk. Fun show on Thursday. Hopefully the Padres win 2 games. Talk to you then.